Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Awakened a Broken Quirk After Trying to Die? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Shattered Hope. Shattered hope is like a broken mirror. It can be repaired, but it will never be the same. Unknown. Symbol of Firizuku's POV. For once I listened to Bakugo's advice. Take a swan dive off the roof, and maybe I'll get a quirk in my next life. Thinking about it, I stand by the rooftop of my school, I close my eyes, and take a deep breath as I jump from the roof. Welcome to the story of my life. The story of me becoming the symbol of fear. The twins Kazuki and Izuku are watching one of their favorite videos online. It's the video of the number 1 hero's debut. The one where All Might saved 100 people in less than 10 minutes. It ends with his signature smile and catchphrase, and the two of them shouted out with him. I am here. So they laugh together, talking about what Izuku's quirk might be. It definitely needs to be something impressive if it's taking much longer to manifest than Kazuki's. They're twins after all. As they're laughing together, Inko comes in, smiling at the two of them. She beams at the two of them as she claps to get their attention. Okay, you two, we need to go to the doctor to get your quirks appraised, said Inko. Yeah, X2. They leave the room in front of Inko, unaware of the worry in her gaze as she looks at her son. Once they're all in the car, Izuku asks his mom where Dad is. Oh, he got caught up with his work again, so he'll be coming home late again. Inko said, sighing. She knows how important her husband is, being the number 1 hero and all, but it would be nice to have him home more often. But that's the price one has to pay for a safer Japan. She understands, and she makes sure her children don't hold it against him. It helps that when he's home, he showers the three of them with as much love as he can. The entire ride to the doctor, the car was filled with the two children geeking out over heroes and quirks. Whenever Inko Yagi hears her kids praising All Might, their father, as the best hero, she can't help but feel a surge of pride in her chest. Even without knowing that their parents are both heroes, the two admire them. Soon they all arrive at the doctor's. The person seeing them is a bald man with big green goggles with a yellow rim. But what hair he lacks on his head he more than makes up for with his bushy mustache. His name is Kyudai Garaki. Yes, the same person who made Numix for AFO. Izuku watched him as he used a small device and wrapped it around his brother's legs. As he does, he explains. This device will analyze a person's quirk, telling us how strong it might be. Of course, it is only a rough estimate, given that quirks can be trained the same as any kind of muscle, said Dr. Garaki. After he's done with his explanation, the device beeps. Taking it off, he looks at the screen and exclaims in shock. Unbelievable! Without training it, your quirk will be on the level of the top pros. And with enough training, you can easily surpass the pros, exclaimed Dr. Garaki. Feeling proud of the praise given to him, Kazuki gives a confident nod. Raising his hand, he uses his telekinesis to lift the device out of the doctor's hand, surprising him. Impressive for one at such a young age as yours. You'll be highly sought out by major pro heroes, boy, said Dr. Garaki as he turns his attention to Izuku, and he eagerly holds out his leg for him. Dr. Garaki chuckles at his enthusiasm before wrapping another device around his leg. After a few minutes of nothing happening, he frowns. Taking it off, he fiddles with it a bit, checking the wiring and all before putting it back on. They wait, but still nothing. Inko is looking worried now, but Izuku and Kazuki are just confused. He takes it off of me again before looking at Inko. If it's all right with you, I'd like to do a few more tests. Inko nods, hoping to find out what's wrong with her child. She knew something was off when he didn't show any signs of his quirk a month ago like his brother when they turned 4. The doctor took some blood from Izuku's hand, and he held back his tears at the pain. As he wanted to be a hero, and if he cried at just a needle injection, there is no way he can be a hero. After taking his blood, the doctor has Izuku do a few different movements wearing all sorts of monitoring equipment, which he does with no problem. As they go through them all, he asks Izuku about what he wants to do when he grows up. Izuku simply says that he wants to be the next symbol of peace along with Kazuki surpassing all might. Izuku said as he held Kazuki's hand and he showed a gentle smile to me. Looking up from the X-ray, the doctor's words erase all the smiles in the room. "Sorry kid. It's not gonna happen," said Dr. Garaki. The only sound anyone can hear is the clatter Izuku's all-might action figure makes as it falls to the floor. They all stare at the doctor in shock, the silence seeming to permeate our entire beings. Izuku completely zones out as if his whole world was burnt and taken away from him. Inko who manages to break free of it first. "Oh dear, so there is something wrong with him?" Most of the other kids in his kindergarten class have already shown signs of their quirks. "Including his brother?" asked Inko. She shoots a reassuring smile at Kazuki, who looks mad at the doctor's words, ready to attack him any moment. But it quickly turns to shock, and then pity as he speaks. "I'm afraid that your son is quirkless. You see." He goes on to explain how people have evolved, and that the bones in the legs of a person's foot are a sure way to tell whether or not they have a quirk. Those who have quirk don't have an extra bone in their leg, and Izuku has that extra bone, which is considered useless from an evolutionary perspective. Yet unfortunately Izuku didn't listen to anything beyond the word quirkless as his world came crashing down in front of his eyes. Izuku thinks about all the plans he and Kazuki made, all relying on them, becoming the best heroes together. All the superhero fantasy sheet that every 4-year-old likes, who wishes to be a hero. Kazuki and Izuku were super excited for when we would develop our own quirks. But it seems like that's never going to happen for him. Inko even lashed out at the doctor, saying he had made some mistake, yet nothing changed. Izuku was diagnosed quirkless and that wasn't going to change. The drive home was in silence, one that goes unbroken all the way home. Once they reach home, Izuku goes to his room and turns on the computer. He watches his favorite video, over and over and over. He watches as All Might flashes his reassuring smile. As he says his iconic words. Then he did it again. Over and over and over again. Izuku could tell that his mom was behind him, looking at him with worry in her eyes. Slowly, he turned to her, tears pooling in my eyes. "All Might is always smiling, no matter how bad things get," said Izuku, raising a trembling finger to show her, as if it would somehow erase the time he spent at the doctor's. It would reverse everything that happened there. "Do you think that I can be a hero too?" asked Izuku as his voice is weak and his entire body is trembling. She grabs onto him. She apologizes. She says that she wishes things could be different. She doesn't answer, not directly. But he knows. Izuku knew the meaning in her words, coupled with the look of pity in her eyes. "You can't become a hero." Creator's thoughts. Numix. First time writing a FIC, let me know what are your thoughts about it. Comment 51 comment. Chapter 2. Chapter 2 Neglect. Neglect is the worst form of cruelty. Mahatma Gandhi. Unable to bear it, Izuku cried for hours and fell asleep out of exhaustion. Maybe Izuku can be a hero even without a quirk? Like the guy in the chair, like many superheroes, thought Kazuki as a hope ignited within his heart. Time passes like that, and before they know it, it's already dinner time. That's when Inko's husband, Toshinori Yagi, finally returns. He looks at his wife and son, immediately noticing the heavy atmosphere of the home, which he developed after being a hero for too long. "What happened? Where's Izuku?" he asks, trying not to think of the worst possibilities. Seeing his obvious distress, and knowing what life as a hero is like, Inko quickly reassures him. "He's okay, just sleeping." Breathing a sigh of relief, Toshinori Yagi looks at his wife, the question clear on his face. With a sigh of resignation, Inko speaks. "We went to the doctor to get their quirks appraised, and Izuku doesn't have one." Inko doesn't beat around the bush, deciding to come out and say it as bluntly as possible. Inko doesn't even notice that she's crying until Toshinori is hugging her. Then Inko breaks down as the shock finally wears off. That her son, in a society that revolves around a person's quirk, is lacking. After letting her emotions out through her tears for 10 minutes, Inko looks up at her husband, surprised and a little angry at his lack of a reaction to the news. "What the hell is wrong with you? Don't you care that our son isn't normal?" Inko yells the last part, and both her husband and son who was listening from the room's entrance and both of them flinch. Toshinori from the reminder of his past as he also was quirkless before OFA. Kazuki from hearing that his brother isn't normal. He knew that of course, but knowing it and hearing your mother confirm it while yelling it are two different things. The slight hope that ignited within Kazuki started flickering and shrinking, somehow smaller than it was before. Had it been anyone else, the flame would never have come into being. But Kazuki's desperation to hold on to his and his brother's dreams managed to ignite the spark. Yet now he was desperately trying to maintain it. Toshinori shoots a glance at his other son's wide eyes before leaning into his wife and whispering in her ear. I promise that I'll explain later, but for now we need to act normal. I don't want Kazuki to worry about such things from now. Inko glares at him as he clears his throat and speaks in an overly cheerful voice. So, what about Kazuki? Did you get his quirk appraised as well? Glancing at his other son who had just entered the room, Inko's eyes soften before a mysterious yet playful glint appears in her eyes. We sure did. Inko yells with more authentic joy than Toshinori. The doctor said that his telekinesis is powerful even more so than mine. He said that when he grows up his quirk will also mature and he can easily become the #1 hero and surpass All Might. Oh, is that so? Then I would love to see you surpass the current #1 hero, All Might, said Toshinori Yagi as he showed a proud smile, as he was happy both as a father as well as the #1 hero. For him to be surpassed by none other than his own son is definitely a proud moment for him. Saying this, he signaled Kazuki to come towards him. Following this, Kazuki did it as Toshinori took him in his embrace as well as the three of them had a happy time. Since you have a strong and versatile quirk, let's celebrate it, said Toshinori as both Inko and Kazuki nodded as the three of them moved out to celebrate it. Unbeknownst to any of the three, their words and actions that night would have consequences far worse than any of them could have dreamt of. Not anytime soon, but far more dire than any of them could ever dream of, changing their lives completely. But that will be then, and for now, the three of them, after returning from bringing tons of fast food and other things as Kazuki wanted to eat it at home, soon they take their seats at the table, talking about their day, future prospects and all eating merrily, totally forgetting Izuku who's sleeping in his room all alone. Izuku POV. I wake up during the night with my stomach growling. Looking around, it's dark, so I turn on the lights of my room and make my way to the kitchen. There I see a plate of food wrapped up for me. I look around in confusion and ask if anyone is around before noticing the time on the clock. 12:30, when everybody would usually be in bed, asleep. I can't help but feel sad that I slept so long and no one woke him up. After all, they had promised each other no matter how busy they were, dinner was the thing that they would do together without fail. Except for today. They didn't wake me up? Izuku questioned. Given what we found out though, I guess I didn't want to wake up. I do appreciate that Mom left me a plate in case I woke up though. I just wish that I would have woken up when they came to get me. It's not like they forgot about me, right? Asked Izuku to himself, unaware of the fact how wrong he was. Following this, things started going downhill. His food got cut into half under the pretext of Kazuki needing more food for his quirk to work properly. Izuku agreed, thinking it was logical that Kazuki, who has a quirk, would need more food so that he can function properly, thinking it's totally normal, although given his age of merely 4 years he wasn't smart enough to understand that what was happening to him wasn't normal at all. Even if one doesn't have a quirk, a 4-year-old still needs enough nutrients to grow up normally. Yet Izuku thought it was totally normal, the fact that his parents told him about Kazuki needing more food, so giving half of Izuku's with a straight face thinking it was totally normal didn't help anything other than worsening the aftereffects, not knowing how messed up it is. And just like that, slowly he was neglected to the point that his plate wasn't even placed on the dinner table. Neither did Kazuki, Toshinori, or Inko even think that Izuku existed, as if he was never there to begin with. Yet Izuku didn't lose hope, as he still thought that he could become a hero. However, it wasn't going to be easy at all. Not only was he neglected at his home to the point they totally forgot about his existence. He was even bullied and used as a punching bag by all the kids of his kindergarten, which was later continued in his middle school. Yet Izuku survived it all with a smile and the hope of being a hero, as all he wanted was to become a hero and thought that if he became a pro-hero he wouldn't be bullied. This could have been true if it was a shonen story like Naruto, but this isn't shonen but a seinen story which was going to get even darker than it seems. Creator's thoughts. Numix. If you like the chapter, don't forget to drop power stones, as it helps me feel motivated to finish what I have started, and also if you feel there is something or somewhere I can improve in, then do let me know about it. 24 comment. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 Bullying. Bullying is the willful and repeated exercise of power over another person to inflict pain and distress. Hillary Clinton. Time skip to middle school. Initially, Izuku was only neglected by Bakugo, Kazuki, and others along with his parents. Yet somehow that was okay. By this time his parents totally forgot about his existence. And Kazuki, who was once his twin brother, is now just one of his bullies. To the point that he thought of Izuku as just some random kid whom he bullied. For being quirkless. They had already stopped going home together, or rather Kazuki stopped waiting for him at all, even though Izuku was forced to do other people's cleaning duties as they told him they needed to do training for their quirk. It wasn't a day's thing, it was something that happened almost every day. And one day Bakugo hit Izuku for being delusional for wanting to be a hero when he's quirkless. After the first time Bakugo hit Izuku, they started insulting him, mocking him, telling him that he didn't have what it takes to be a hero. Then they started to get physical. At first, they just pushed Izuku around, tripped him, stuff like that. But then they asked if Izuku still wanted to be a hero, and he said yes. Then they started hitting him even more. They didn't use their quirks, thankfully. Instead, they just hit and kicked Izuku, covering him with bruises. But they weren't dumb, they made sure that they only beat him where his clothes would come so that the wounds would be covered by clothes. And over time they even started using their quirks on him, not caring if Izuku got any bruises in areas which weren't covered by clothes. They even used their quirks on Izuku, treating him as a punching bag under the pretense of using him to train their quirk. And slowly, one by one more and more people joined in on the bullying done to Izuku. Yet it wasn't like his whole time was spent on getting bullied. The rest of his free time he spent after making his food, patching his injuries, and doing his homework. Izuku spent it on researching pro-heroes, be it the top 10, top 100 or no-name heroes who are mentioned in the hero billboard, yet don't receive enough recognition and are even overshadowed by the videos of accomplishments of top heroes, and majorly All Might. He researched everything and compiled them in My Hero Quirk Analysis books, thinking when he would become a pro-hero he'll help his fellow pro-heroes by telling them their weaknesses and helping them overcome them. And with how detailed and precise his analysis was, he was sure anyone would be able to easily understand them. Like of the number one hero All Might. The one whom he fanboyed for the most. It's obvious he would have done research about him. In fact, he's the first hero Izuku did research on. Hero Quirk Analysis Book, -1 First Entry, All Might. All Might is a symbol of peace and hope. He is always willing to help those in need, even if it means putting himself in danger. He believes that it is important for heroes to be role models for the public, and he strives to live up to that ideal. What is it like for him to be the symbol of peace? Being the symbol of peace is a heavy burden to bear. All Might is constantly under pressure to be perfect and to never fail. He knows that people look up to him, and he doesn't want to let them down. However, All Might also knows that he is not perfect. He has made mistakes in the past, and he will likely make mistakes in the future. However, he is determined to learn from his mistakes and to continue to be the best hero he can be. How does his role as the symbol of peace affect his work as a hero? All Might's role as the symbol of peace affects his work as a hero in a number of ways. First, it gives him a sense of purpose. He knows that he is not just fighting for himself but for the entire world. This gives him the strength to keep going even when things are tough. Second, it gives him a lot of responsibility. He knows that people are counting on him, and he doesn't want to let them down. This pressure can be overwhelming at times, but it also pushes him to be the best hero he can be. Third, it makes him a target for villains. Villains know that All Might is the strongest hero in the world, and they see defeating him as a way to prove themselves. This puts All Might in constant danger, but he is willing to risk his life to protect the people. Speculation on All Might's quirk. All Might has superhuman strength, speed, and durability. His muscles seem to grow in size and mass when he uses his quirk. He has some sort of physical enhancement quirk that allows him to increase his muscle strength, speed, and durability to superhuman levels as well, and his quirk allows him to alter his body mass and density. All Might's quirk might be some sort of energy manipulation quirk which allows him to generate and manipulate energy to enhance his physical abilities, which might also allow him to create a protective energy field around himself. Or All Might's quirk might be a combination of physical enhancement and energy manipulation which allows him to increase his muscle strength, speed, and durability by manipulating energy. All Might's quirk is a unique quirk that is not comparable to any other quirk. All Might's quirk might even be a gift from God or some other supernatural being. It is also seen that his time of heroing every day has decreased considerably from going almost 20 hours a day to only 3 hours a day. It might be related to an injury he incurred in the past after fighting a certain villain, after which he was on a break for at least 6 months, during which crime peaked at its highest again. Ultimately, All Might's role as the symbol of peace is a complex one. It gives him a sense of purpose, responsibility, and danger. But it is a role that he is proud to bear, and he is determined to live up to the expectations of the people. This might be the biggest and the longest quirk analysis he has done on any of the heroes he has done so far till now. Of course, it was going to be, as All Might was his role model. And this was just the speculation part, other than that there were many cutouts, images, and villains, as well as all the villains he fought since the beginning of his career. He had created a list of everything, even his sidekicks. It would be an understatement to say that it was too much. Izuku had almost 3 books filled only with pieces of stuff related to All Might. Well, it seems all the fanboying he did in the past is surely going to help me a lot. With so much information, he can easily defeat All Might. All he needed was just a quirk, and he could easily beat All Might to become the next #1 hero, the symbol of peace. 35 comment. Chapter 4. Chapter 4 People Who Care Part 1. Care is the greatest power. Without care, there is no life. Lao Tzu. Izuku walked slowly down the street, his head down. Izuku was on his way back home from school, after getting the supplies needed to patch himself up after today's session of his training, aka other kids bullying him, but Izuku didn't want to go home. He was heading in the opposite direction to that of my house. Why do you ask? Well, it's not like the people around him even remember that Izuku exists. To the point that he's sure if he were to come face to face with them, he's sure they wouldn't even recognize him and take him for a fraud. Not that he looked like Izuku anymore with all the cuts and bruises that he suffers every day and the patchwork he does. How did Izuku even survive all this for this long if they had totally forgotten about him, you ask? Well, it was obvious that they had totally forgotten about him with the fact that they stopped keeping food for him, let alone calling him when dinner was ready. Izuku had to make his own food, all this patchwork, and all is done with the money he earned by doing some side jobs on the internet, basically some quizzes and all related to heroes and their quirks, along with some minor jobs which he can do from his own home here and there. It gave enough money for him to patch himself up. It's something he's been doing since he was 6, by the time his family totally forgot about him. But Izuku thought that he was learning all sorts of survival skills necessary for a hero to function anywhere properly. Although it wasn't like his life was completely like this. There were moments of happiness in his life as well. Some people were kind to him as well, not caring whether he was quirkless or not. One of them was the shop manager of the local pharmacy he visited for his patchwork. He gave Izuku medicines at half price, paying the other half from his pocket, although Izuku knew he did it out of pity given how Izuku came to his store every time battered and brushed. He wanted to do more, like calling authorities regarding his state, as it wasn't an age for someone to be this bruised, let alone abused, yet he couldn't do anything about it as his shop owner told him not to, or else he might get fired. Izuku didn't blame him, as he knew from the few conversations he had with the shop owner that he has a family, a wife, and a daughter, and his wife is sick and he needed money for her medications as well as to pay the hospital bills. And Izuku was not selfish enough to bite the hand helping him, mooching him to the point possible. And it's for that reason that Izuku refused his help, as half of his salary was spent on the hospital bills, and if he were to pay half of Izuku's medicine bills, then how would he and his daughter survive? After all, everyone needs money to survive. Coupled with the fact that he told Izuku his daughter is the same age as Izuku's, it strengthened Izuku's resolve even more to not take his help. However, he was stubborn, and so was Izuku, and so they came to the conclusion that he can pay Izuku's bills whenever he doesn't have any. As given how Izuku was bullied every day, it wasn't anything new if they stole his money using their strength and quirk after bullying him and using him as a punching bag. Although Izuku opposed the bullying, it just meant he lost the money after getting beaten the shit out of himself. Well, that's how he and Izuku became friends. Well, Izuku say friends because the shopkeeper was the one acting like a friend, like a big brother who would care for him when others wouldn't, treating him like one human should to the other, even though their relationship was somewhat transactional. And the other person, it's actually the place where he's headed to, like usual whenever he feels overwhelmed by the world and wants something calming, which acts like an escape from this world. And this is the only other person who calms him down the most, and every moment spent with this person is always the best moment Izuku had during the entire week. It makes Izuku forget all the worries he has, all the bullying he faced, all the pain, and everything bad that happened to him gets wiped the second he sees this person. He reached the place and knocked on the door. "Coming," said a woman as the door opened in a few moments. "Aren't you on time?" said a young woman with a smile on her face. The young woman was of average height with turquoise eyes, probably in her early 20s. She has white hair, flecked with a few noticeable traces of a crimson-like color, which is mostly shoulder-length aside from the ear-length side bangs she sports and the short clump she leaves hanging down her forehead. She is wearing a white dress shirt with a plain grayish peach-colored cardigan, the sleeves rolled up to just below her elbows, along with navy blue jeans. She also sports brown dress shoes and a pair of red-framed rectangular glasses. Well, a hero always comes on time, just like All Might who reaches where he is needed on time, Izuku said with a huge smile on my face and my words filled with enthusiasm. Symbol of fear, Izuku's POV. Although now that I look back, all I can say is one word: delusional. I was delusional to not see the truth in All Might's actions. Blinded by the worthless dream of becoming a pro-hero, enough to not see the illegal discrimination done by my own family. And if that wasn't enough, I was stupid enough to believe in heroes. And the fact that I said those words about heroes reaching places on time and giving All Might's examples that too with enthusiasm in my words makes me cringe at my own naivete and stupidity. And also realized that if I want to prevent things and people I care about, then I need to take charge of it as well as be willing enough to crush someone if they hinder or act as an obstacle in front of me and my goals. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what are your thoughts about this chapter. And if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Comment. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 People Who Care Part 2. Care is the greatest gift you can give someone. It is the gift of your time, your attention, and your love. Unknown. Time skipped few months before. After the usual bullying at school, and getting himself patched up, Izuku was in no mood to go back home just yet and needed a bit of fresh air. So he just decided to wander around looking around the town, exploring things around him. As he had no one else to roam around with and he had no privilege to do childish things other kids his age people would do. That's when Izuku heard someone cry. That's when he came across an empty park, and thought it was coming from the park, so Izuku went towards the park and he wasn't wrong. Izuku saw a small girl sitting on one of the swings in the park. She was crying and all alone. When Izuku looked around him and the park, he could not find a single soul around them. In fact, it was way too quiet to the point that anyone can commit any sort of crime and they can get away feeling assured that no one would find out about them or what happened in this silent park. And at this time of the day, technically no one walks these roads unless a hero fights. Coupled with the fact that there weren't any CCTVs around, it made things even more dangerous. It made his heart beat even faster. He was taking every step carefully, staying vigilant as anything could happen, as it wasn't a new thing for people to get kidnapped using small kids. And so Izuku approached the little girl who was sitting all alone on the swing while crying. Luckily there was no one around, meaning that she was all alone, and was just lost. "Are you okay?" Izuku asked. The girl looked up at him. She had big blue eyes that were filled with tears. "No," she said. "I'm not okay." "What's wrong?" Izuku asked. "I'm lost," the girl said. "I got separated from the teacher and others, and I don't know how to get back to my school." Izuku cast a reassuring smile towards her. "Don't worry," he said. "I will help you." The girl stopped crying as her eyes were red from all the crying. She sobbed as she asked me, "Really?" "Of course, don't worry, I'll make sure you are reunited with your teacher," Izuku said once again as he cast a reassuring smile once again as his hands moved towards her small face and he used my thumbs to wipe off the tears on her face. "Do you want water?" Izuku asked as he lifted her to his eye level, placing his hand on her back as he gently caressed her back to calm her down. She nodded as Izuku removed the water bottle from his backpack and he gave it to her. After drinking water and making sure that she had calmed down, his hand was still caressing her back to calm her down. Izuku gently asked her, "What's your name?" Although with the patchwork Izuku had done to himself, he looked like some kind of delinquent or better said criminal. However, whether it was because she wanted to go home or was scared or the fact that she was just a 5-year-old girl. She didn't doubt Izuku at all, although it was good as it made it easier for him to help her reunite with her teacher. "It seems I need to tell the teacher in charge to be more vigilant and careful with these small children, as she is lucky that it was I who encountered her, not some villain, or else they might have kidnapped such a small child with relative ease," thought Izuku to himself. She said in a small meek yet cute tone, "I am Emi Yamamoto." "Emi-chan, don't worry, I'll make sure to send you back to your teacher," Izuku said with a smile as a small smile emerged on her face as she nodded her head. Seeing the appealing smile on little Emi's face was like magic. All the pain, sadness, and all sorts of negative emotions Izuku had locked deep inside his heart, all of that washed out of his face as if it never existed in the first place. The cute smile and appealing eyes along with a cute happy but meek emotion on her face, her smile, and her very existence were so contagious at that point to the fact that the hopes and embers of becoming a hero were slowly extinguishing with all the bullying and neglect. But after meeting Emi, all those emotions washed out of him. It even reignited his passion to become a hero, even if it was to protect such a small and cute 5-year-old. Izuku's face was determined as new embers far stronger than previous ones ignited within him to the point that his sole purpose, currently, was to make sure that Izuku just protected this girl and her smile. And so began their search. As Izuku took her to a more lively and fairly populated area of the town. Apparently, she remembered her school's name, and luckily Izuku had his phone with him, so he was easily able to find the location. Izuku even called the contact number mentioned, but apparently, no one picked it up. So using maps he started navigating toward her school. That's when he saw a group of teachers and students looking for someone. And that's when Emi jumped from his hands as she ran towards her classmates. All of them sighed in relief as, if she hadn't been found, it would affect their reputation greatly. However, one teacher in particular, mostly in her early 20s with red flakes of hair along with white hair, jumped to the conclusion thinking Izuku was a kidnapper trying to kidnap her. Well, given his appearance, he can't say he disagreed. Anyone in her place unaware of his history would think the same. "Who are you? Were you trying to kidnap Emi? And with how calm she was with you, it might be you having a quirk related to keeping your hostages calm, right? Making it easier for you to kidnap little girls, you lolicon." Started speaking non-stop. And the teacher was like a speeding train, only stopping to breathe once finished with her talking. Wow, if I said I was stunned it would be an understatement. I knew I looked shady and all, but a kid stealing lolicon, and on top of that I have a quirk that helps me with it, thought Izuku. I was not sure whether it was imagination or reality, but I could hear all my injuries, broken bones, cuts, and bruises screaming in unison to the top of their lungs. "Am I a joke to you?" Izuku thought as he wanted to scream. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 11 comment. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 People Who Care Part 3. care for those who cannot care for themselves, and speak out for those who cannot speak for themselves. Princess Diana. Wow, if I said I was stunned it would be an understatement. I knew I looked shady and all but a kid stealing lolicon, and on top of that I have a quirk that helps me with it. I was not sure whether it was imagination or reality, but I could hear of my injuries, broken bones, cuts, and bruises screaming in unison. Am I a joke to you? Thought Izuku. And honestly, Izuku totally agreed with that. If he had a quirk he wouldn't have been in this situation in the first place. Izuku wouldn't have found her, he would be living happily with his family who wouldn't have neglected him, forget him, and most of all, if he had quirk he wouldn't be bullied to such an extent that he would have to walk like a walking talking mummy 5 days a week. This set him off a lot. She had hit a nerve that she shouldn't have. Although Izuku wanted to be a hero, even though he's quirkless, he still helped her reunite with her friends and teachers, and instead of thank you what Izuku got was a label as a pervert stealing small girls using his quirk. For FS sake, I'm in all this shit just because I don't have a quirk, and although I laughed off the bullies thinking they are making my body stronger, she isn't the same. I don't even know her, neither does she. Most probably this is the first time we have seen each other, and yet she has the ball to transfer the blame of losing a child to me when clearly she was at fault. Izuku thought in his mind as he completely lost it. It set him off and he had so much stress pent up and he just lashed out at her. Excuse me, you good for nothing of a teacher. Instead of asking what I was gonna do with her, let me ask you a question. What were you doing when you lost a child? Isn't it a teacher's responsibility to make sure all the children with you are accounted for? Or were you busy doing something else? I might be anything, but you should feel lucky I was the one who found her, given the place I found her. Had it been someone else then congratulations. You would have lost a child which would probably be used as a bargaining chip for money or something else if she is the daughter of someone hotshot or sold based on her usefulness, be it being a girl or due to her quirk. I could have even called the cops there and there to file a complaint, yet I was generous enough to get her out of there first and make sure she is reunited with you guys, after which I would have filed a case. Yet given how ungrateful you are, talking to me like this trying to hide your own mistakes, I'll make sure to file a complaint with the police regarding how careless you are, and I have video evidence of everything I talked to Emmy over there from where I found her to here. Given my appearance might make them question me, but the evidence will be more than enough to make sure you get removed, if not the school gets shut. I lashed out all of my anger. It might even be the first time I did this, but it felt kind of good. Listening to this, the woman flinched as Izuku lashed out without stammering, and with full confidence she realized she made a mistake by jumping to conclusions. I'm really very sorry about it. It's my mistake, yet I blamed you for Emmy's disappearance. It was my first day here, and seeing that Emmy was missing I was so desperate to try to find Emmy that I jumped to conclusions, and your appearance also added that you might be a shady guy, explained the woman. And so you thought that I was a kidnapper. You really should feel lucky I found her. The park she was in was so silent and the locality didn't help much, to the point that anyone could have easily kidnapped her, had I not decided to wander around the city when I stumbled upon her, I said as I calmed down, yet a tinge of annoyance still mustered on my face. And for your kind information, when I was 4, I was diagnosed as quirkless. Unlike the majority, I don't have such luxuries, as life is nothing but hard for me, so thank you very much, and hope we never meet again. I finished as I started walking away from there. She was stunned for a while, yet after listening to that he was quirkless she felt guilty for rubbing salt in his wounds, as she knows just having a weak quirk makes people look at you with disgusted looks, but having no quirk makes people look at them as objects, not humans. They aren't treated well, heck they aren't treated anything, and here she was where she rubbed salt on the wounds that Izuku might be bearing since 4, unaware of how many bad memories she might have made him relive. Plus she saw him, and somehow she saw another kid somehow related to her who had one side red and one side white-colored hair. Given the bruises on such a small kid's body, she couldn't help but relive traumas of her own house. Her heart filled with emotions as tears started forming on her face and started rushing down, as she held Izuku's arm tightly and pulled him towards her into a hug as she started caressing his head and battered back with all the love she could, even though his face was between her BRSS. It wasn't the important matter currently, and it seems that neither of them cared about it at that time, as the pats and caresses were filled with so much love that Izuku could say he never experienced after turning 4. all the locked-up emotions gushing down in the form of tears as he let his guard down and held her embrace as he silently cried his heart out, removing all the tension and anxiety and stress and all other bad emotions he had. As even though he never cried, it didn't change the fact that he was merely a 13 to 14-year kid who still needs people to look out for him and care for him. She continued patting him while he cried out. Once Izuku calmed down and she felt it, she loosened her grip on him as Izuku asked her just one question, with eyes that were red and still moist. Why? I don't know, you reminded me of my brother, who's in almost the same situation as you, but he has a really powerful quirk and is made to train every day by my father. He is almost the same age as you, said the woman. I couldn't help but see him in you and couldn't control myself, plus all the mean things I said to you which I shouldn't have. It made me unable to control myself, so I did what I thought was the best I could do, hug you and comfort you, which is definitely something I was not able to do to my brother. So Fuyumi. I'm Fuyumi Todoroki, by the way, but you can call me Fuyumi, and let me know if I can do something to make up for my mistake and all the things that made you feel hurt, said the woman with a smile as she herself wiped her eyes which were moist. Why don't you come with me? I want to apologize to you properly, and until I do that I won't be able to sleep properly. Please, it's a request, said Fuyumi. Fine, I'll come with you, Izuku said, sighing as it looked like she wouldn't take no for an answer. Izuku just followed behind her and she treated him to lunch. Along with that they exchanged contacts as Izuku wanted to meet Emi again and she wanted to know about him. Symbol of fear Izuku POV. And that's how I met the second nice person who always made me feel better. Not then, not now, not in the future. There is no way I could ever feel guilty of doing any of the things I did that day or how the events turned out to be. In fact, that encounter proved to be very vital for the future that was about to come, said Izuku. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter. And if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 15 comment. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 Choices. The choices we make, not the chances we take, determine our destiny. John Cyril Maxwell. Timeline: few months after All Might's final battle against a location: Recovery Girls Hospital. All Might's inner monologue. Ever since I got that injury from my final battle with AFO, keeping my buff state is getting even more harder. And by the passing of every day, every week, and every year, my body is getting weaker and weaker to the point that I can currently only maintain my buff state for 3 hours a day at max, and if I try pushing myself, I lose consciousness and end up on Recovery Girl's hospital bed like I did just now. Thought All Might as he laid on the hospital bed as becoming a hero was getting harder for him. Recovery Girl, who just patches my wounds and nothing else other than the bare minimum every time I end up here. Well, I don't blame her. After all, she isn't the only one acting like that. Gran Torino, Night Eye, and Recovery Girl, all of them sort of cut all of their connections and limited themselves to just casuals and doing the bare minimum, said All Might, sighing. Flashback: no jutsu, just after All Might's final battle with AFO. After the final battle with AFO ended, AFO was wiped out of existence and All Might ended up in a hospital with a damaged stomach and half of his respiratory organs destroyed. All Might was surrounded by many of his colleagues, namely, Gran Torino, Sir Night Eye, Recovery Girl, Principal of UA Nizu, Detective Naomesa, and many others, and all of them said just one thing: now that AFO is finished, you should retire, take rest and pass on your legacy to some worthy successor. Nizu even said, UA has many rising stars who are inspired by you to become heroes and are more than suitable enough to take the responsibilities. Yet All Might denied them, saying, not right now, I can still go on, it's just some organs, I can easily go for few more years without worry. The country still needs a symbol of peace, especially when AFO is no more. Criminals will be on the rise until I can make sure that everything is okay. Hearing this, Sir Night Eye lashed out. Don't be ridiculous, I have seen you die, and a brutal death at that. I don't know who killed you, but one thing is sure, that you will die a really bad death. So I need you to stop being a hero, retire. I beg you, as your sidekick, I just want your well-being, said Sir Night Eye as he practically had tears in his eyes by this moment. However, All Might nodded his head in denial. Sorry, I can't do that. Seeing that Sir Night Eye's plea went to waste, he said, if that's the case, then I can't be your sidekick anymore. Saying this, Sir Night Eye left the hospital. And others who hadn't left had a disappointed look on their face as they didn't say anything. Flashback no Jutsu ends. As All Might was lying on the hospital bed thought, and that's why Sir Night Eye stopped being my sidekick and went on complete radio silence with me, only sending me some pieces of information if required via someone and never met me after that. And I totally understand his actions, seeing that he was one of my biggest fans and sidekick for the longest time, he cares too much about me, and seeing me die might be too much for him. I understand others as well, as it is my selfish wish to neglect all the rest and worry they have for me and do what I want. I understand them not talking or doing anything much. I mean, that's the price I have to pay for maintaining the peace of Japan, thought All Might lying on the bed. Soon a smile formed on his face as he said, even if they don't talk to me, I still have my wife and kid who love me and care for me, and that's enough for me. Symbol of Fear. Izuku's POV. In a distorted future, Izuku could be seen, sitting on what looked like a throne, but on closer look, it was a throne, but not some ordinary throne, but a throne of corpses of all famous pro-heroes. Yes, he totally forgot that he had kids, not just one kid, he totally forgot by this point that I even existed. He was so full of himself and blinded by hero work that he forgot what was happening in his own house. The same mistake that Nana Shimura made, she was so worried about her child's safety that she pushed him away, not knowing the consequences of her single choice. Her son grew up to hate and despise heroes to the point that he even beat his son just for talking about becoming a hero, which her grandson Tenko Shimura didn't take nicely, as he associated all the bad things happening to him as the fault of heroes, and it multiplied to the point that he became Tamura Shigaraki, successor of AFO, whom she, Nana Shimura, died fighting. And All Might did the same. He discriminated between his quirkless son and son with a powerful quirk to the point that he totally forgot about the former, pushing me to my mental limits, causing me to take drastic measures. Yet he was so blinded that he had to be reminded of my existence by an outside party. I don't know if Nana Shimura's actions were right or not, but one thing is for sure, as parent both of them had failed, and that's why I had decided to make sure that All Might's fall would be far worse than Nana's, along with making sure the title symbol of peace is despised and dreaded to the point that they forget all the good things he has done. Of course, I was going to make sure that his fall was the worst, and that I did. Stick till the end and you'll see All Might's mighty fall. However, he wasn't the only one whose choices changed his life. There was someone else as well, said Izuku as a wave of nostalgia washed off him. Aldera Middle School. Okay, this is going too out of hand, Mr. Miyamoto said to himself as he slammed his hand on the table. Seeing which other faculties look at him, seeing which he takes his hand off of the table. Seeing Izuku's condition getting worse by the day, crushes my heart. I knew Izuku's state and how many people really cared for him. I knew one thing for sure. His family has forsaken him, as, if they hadn't, then his twin brother who is healthy as hell wouldn't have openly bullied Izuku using his quirk when his state clearly said that he wasn't getting proper nutrition. And how no one did anything when he came to school or went home strapped in bandages. Heck, I could even say I forgot how that boy looks given most of the time he is covered with bandages, thought Mr. Miyamoto as he thought about all this, and his rage started building. And if that wasn't enough, when I tried talking to the principal, he just shut me up, saying that all I should focus on is teaching and that if I try acting smart I will lose the job and be blacklisted by every school around. FINGBSTRD. Mr. Miyamoto said in his mind as other teachers still surrounded him. So, Mr. Miyamoto decided to stop doing extra indulgence in his matters and focused on teaching, but he also made sure no one bullied Izuku when he was around. Yet it just meant that Izuku would be bullied twice as much as he did every day when Mr. Miyamoto's PRD wasn't there. And it caused poor Izuku's state to deteriorate. Izuku's bright smile, which could once blind anyone, was also slowly fading away, with him rarely even smiling. All of this was acting too badly for Mr. Miyamoto's mental health. Damn it, I have a kid, and every time I see Izuku's battered and bruised condition I can't help but see my own son in his place. It ached my heart too much and I couldn't take it anymore, so I complained to the local authorities about it. said Mr. Miyamoto as he couldn't take it anymore and complained to the local authorities. Alas! All the kids that bullied him were somehow related to big shots or had a powerful quirk, and the local authorities were bought. Due to this, my plea went unnoticed and I lost my job, said Mr. Miyamoto as he gritted his teeth. Although I didn't care about my job as much as I could do anything to survive, I was sad that I couldn't do anything for Izuku and it tore my heart away, killing me from the inside. I even thought about ending the lives of those kids who bullied Izuku, as even though they are kids with powerful quirks, they don't deserve to live if all they do with their so-called powerful quirk is just bully people. But I stopped myself, afraid if I did anything else, my own family might get attacked as I am but an ordinary teacher, and knew very well if those big shots wished I and my family would be wiped from the face of the earth and no one would come to know anything. Even imagining seeing my wife and son getting killed dreaded me to the point I would have nightmares every day. Thus I decided to not go any further and just prayed for a miracle to happen to Izuku that would change his life. Mr. Miyamoto thought as he regretted his own powerlessness. Symbol of fear. Izuku's POV. I knew he was helping me from the background and I couldn't have asked anything more from him. For me, he is a true teacher. And I was glad to have him as my teacher. And I could never hold him for thinking for his family, as unlike my family who had forsaken me for being quirkless, he had a family he cared for. And whenever it was his PRD, he always treated me like his own son. That is more than enough I could have asked from a teacher. And that's why two people who could have been my teachers had such an opposite fate than each other, all because of their choices, said Izuku in a menacing tone. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 13 comment. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. All falls down. When a dream dies, the heart is torn to shreds. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Yagi Residence. Today's day started off well for Izuku. He woke up early feeling refreshed. The pain also subsided and he was all ready for school, having encountered no bullies on his way. Yet it was just the calm before the storm. Today was going to change his life completely. When he reached school, he came to know that Mr. Miyamoto was fired from the school for some illegal conduct with students. Which Izuku knew was not true at all. I knew Mr. Miyamoto the most. If there's something, he would never do any such thing, said Izuku to himself, as he was sure Mr. Miyamoto would never do such a thing. But he also knew he couldn't do anything or pry too much about it, as he knew he wouldn't get answers. Yet it was like a jackpot for everyone else. Even before the class started, all of the students started using their quirks on him as if he were a punching bag and not a human. And all of them didn't hold back even a slight bit. Was it the fact that now there was no one to stop them, or something else? But they were definitely unhinged today. The only reason why he was still conscious even after all the beating when they used their quirk to their fullest was because they were still kids and their quirk weren't that developed. It might even be considered a miracle that Izuku remained conscious when all the previous wounds that hadn't healed completely were opened once again and he was bleeding profusely from every part of my body. That's when they actually stopped. As even if Izuku was quirkless, if he got killed, their career might definitely be finished, and they all dreamt of becoming heroes, so they stopped themselves. But it only accounted for the other bullies. It seemed that seeing Izuku's bloodied body was pumping the original bullies with adrenaline as they continued bullying him throughout the school, and they finally ended up throwing his quirk analysis books along with my bag into the pond. After which they threw Izuku from the second floor into the pond as well. All the while he couldn't do a single thing, as whenever he tried to raise his voice their bullying got even more intense. Seeing Izuku and his books soaked in water mixed with his blood, Bakugo and Kazuki laughed seeing his state. Satisfied, Bakugo and Kazuki were leaving when Bakugo said, "You know, Deku, if you really want to become a hero that badly, why don't you take a swan dive from the roof and pray that you get a quirk in your next life?" Izuku heard that, and it saddened his heart a lot as he was on the verge of crying, yet the impact was too much for him to stay awake as he lost consciousness. When Izuku woke up, he was all patched up and out of the water along with his books lying beside me getting dried under the sun. Izuku looked around him to see if he could find who was the one who helped him, as he didn't know who it was, But he made sure to stop the blood loss along with patching up all the wounds Izuku had incurred, even the ones that he couldn't have patched himself. He felt grateful for whoever he was, who patched him up along with drying his books. Flashback no Jutsu. Timeline around when Izuku lost consciousness after falling from the second floor. Just as Mr. Miyamoto was leaving with his stuff, he heard a voice. When he closed the distance towards the voice, his face turned horrid as he saw Izuku all battered and bloody with torn clothes thrown out of the second-floor window where his class was. Seeing this, he kept the stuff under a tree on his side. As he ran towards Izuku, that's when Mr. Miyamoto heard Bakugo's comment, which dreaded his heart as how could a kid say such a thing to someone? Bakugo was practically telling Izuku to commit suicide, and Kazuki didn't say anything. After the initial horror subsided, he was filled with rage not to just use his quirk but to also make sure both the kids were crippled, as he was sure of one thing. Society didn't need these kids as heroes, as if they became heroes they wouldn't save people that are weak, but they would oppress them instead. He wanted to go and teach those kids a lesson, but saving Izuku was important, and so he pulled Izuku out of the pond. Seeing his bloodied and battered body, all Mr. Miyamoto said was, "Thank God, I came to take my stuff, or else they could have really killed Izuku," said Mr. Miyamoto to himself. Given the state Izuku was in, if Mr. Miyamoto hadn't come on time, then Izuku might have fallen into a coma if he was lucky enough to not die. And Mr. Miyamoto was sure even if either of that would have happened, no one would have cared about it, given how the landing blow was given by his own twin. Mr. Miyamoto wanted to beat them even more seeing Izuku's state, and he didn't care what happened to his family knowing that he saved someone's life. And he was sure his family would have done the same thing without even thinking twice. Yet he stopped himself, as currently, it wasn't revenge that was important but healing Izuku. And that was what he did. He patched Izuku's body up and stopped the excess bleeding. However, it wasn't easy. Seeing all the wounds that he saw for the first time, which were covered up by his school uniform. Yes, it was Mr. Miyamoto's first time seeing this, and it sent a chill down my spine as he thought, how could a 14-year-old kid have such an injured body, which many militants never have in their whole service? And most of all, how was Izuku able to walk like nothing's wrong every day? Was there really no one who knew about this? Was there really no one worried about him? Was everyone turning a blind eye to him just because he is quirkless? And what are his parents even doing? Do they not get concerned about their kids' well-being? Or have they totally forgotten that Izuku even exists? Many questions were going through Mr. Miyamoto's mind. And he said with a determined look, "This is enough. I can't let this continue anymore. Because if I did, Izuku wouldn't be able to survive even a week. I will definitely do something. If required, I will adopt him. Yes, I will adopt him. At least I will be a better parent to Izuku than his current parents." As Mr. Miyamoto caressed sleeping Izuku's face, he said, "Rest a bit now, Izuku. Once I keep my stuff back and talk to my family, I'll start calling in favors to make sure I get your custody, Izuku. I won't let you suffer anymore, I promise." Saying that, he laid Izuku on the ground and left the compound. Sad, his intentions were noble, but fate had some other plans, as he wouldn't be able to see the Izuku he knew ever again. Flashback ends. Seeing he is all patched up, Izuku felt really grateful for whoever it was that helped him, as well as he felt sorry for them, having to see such an unsightly scene of his body. After standing up and packing his stuff, Izuku decided to take a detour to calm himself down. Plus, it was that time of the week when Izuku would meet Fuyumi, and spending time with her always lifted Izuku's mood. But he still decided to take a detour to calm himself down. That's why he took the long way there by roaming around the city. As he said, "I hope to think of some plausible excuse regarding my condition so that Fuyumi won't worry too much about me." Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter. And if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones, as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 6. Comment. Chapter 9. Chapter 9, All Falls Down Part 2. The worst thing in life is not that your dreams come true. The worst thing in life is that your dreams fade away. Billy Graham. I hope to think of some plausible excuse regarding my condition so that Fuyumi won't worry too much about me. After all, even if I didn't tell her about getting bullied, it wasn't like she was blind. She noticed it. After all, It isn't child's play knowing that I was quirkless, and with the number of bandages around me it wasn't hard for her to catch on. She would have to be an airhead or uncaring for her to not notice. Yet she never pondered over it, knowing it would be hard for me to talk about it. That's what I like about her the most. She never questioned why or how I got those injuries, yet at the same time she cared for me, loved me as a family would, and also worried for my well-being, and most of all she had faith in me. What more could I have asked from someone? That's why I don't want her to worry about me, said Izuku as he started muttering again. With all those thoughts in mind, Izuku packed his bag and left the school. He went around looking at the city thinking about many things. Majorly, about quirks, the existing ones as well as the new ones emerging, and all the new heroes. Emerging along with how the current heroes can improve their quirks. As soon as he started thinking about quirks and all the new kinds of combinations and all the synergies the heroes could make with each other, how the heroes can work in teams to effectively cancel out their weaknesses. Izuku went into his own zone, although he was walking on the road looking here and there, but his mind was racing in its own world, unable to listen to anything around him. That's when he got bumped by a man who was running towards something. It woke him up as he saw the man who was running, and following him, Izuku saw more people running in the same direction. It caused him to look around to see what this commotion was all about. That's when he saw All Might jump away with a green sludge-like thing in his hand. Being an All Might fan, it didn't take him even a second to understand All Might defeated another villain, and mostly whoever the villain was inside that glass cylinder. Seeing this as his chance to meet All Might, Izuku decided to go towards him as well. But as Izuku was about to close the distance between them, he leapt. Not wanting to go without meeting All Might, he decided to follow him. Since Izuku knew he had gotten slower with all the broken bones and all, yet he knew if he did his best he could catch him. And so he did, but it seems he wasn't the only one. Apparently, Kazuki and Bakugo also saw that from the other side and even followed All Might. The only difference was that they had quirks that helped them reach faster, while Izuku had to technically drag his torn-out body. So when he reached where All Might landed, he saw him talking to both of them. So Izuku decided to watch them from behind the wall, as he didn't want to humiliate himself in front of All Might. And what followed next made his world crashing down. He saw All Might going all smoke, and when the smoke cleared he saw none other than his father Toshinori Yagi. Seeing this, Izuku freaked the hell out of his mind. How could he have not noticed that his own dad was All Might? It explains so many things. Luckily, Izuku didn't scream as he continued to listen to what All Might was talking about. Just like Izuku, Bakugo, and Kazuki also had the same reaction as him, meaning Kazuki didn't know about it as well. Bakugo knowing about it wasn't that important, as if Izuku and Kazuki didn't know all this time that their dad was All Might, there was no way for him to know about it as well. So it didn't matter much to Izuku as he continued listening to him talking with Kazuki and Bakugo. That's when All Might started explaining his quirk, OFA, or One for All. You see, Kazuki, my quirk is One for All. It's a stockpiling quirk passed generation after generation, where each holder cultivates the quirk in their body throughout their lifetime. All for the sole purpose of fighting this quirk's arch-nemesis, All for One. Someone who wants to destroy this world. And I am its 8th bearer of this quirk, and now it has enough power to finally defeat All for One. But as you can see, I am not physically strong, said All Might, showing his damaged organs, seeing which both Kazuki and Bakugo flinched. As you can see, with this body I cannot use this much power, plus I have already taken care of AFO. So I decided to pass it on to someone worthy, so that in the future if someone like AFO comes, then they can use the power of this quirk to stop them. And then I thought, who better than my own kids? I planned to give it to the one who had a weaker quirk so that there could be a balance of power between the two of you. Unfortunately, Izuku was born quirkless, and I couldn't give such a quirk to someone who has nothing to offer to the quirk. It would definitely be a waste of potential, so I decided to give this quirk to you. As I feel you are more worthy of this quirk than Izuku, who can do nothing. That's why take this hair and you can be the next symbol of peace, and seeing how good you have compatibility with Bakugo, I'm sure you can easily beat anyone. Saying which, Kazuki ate the hair as All Might nodded. Listening to this was more than enough, as tears started rolling down Izuku's eyes. His heart and dreams were shattered into a million pieces, as the person who made him want to become a hero was his own father, and he didn't think his son was worthy of inheriting his quirk just because he was quirkless. Izuku couldn't handle it anymore, his head was spinning and he couldn't seem to be able to breathe as if someone was choking him. Izuku was moving here and there just to catch some breath. His whole body started sweating profusely and he was trembling as he felt tightness in his chest. Izuku started losing control over himself with heavy breathing. He tried many things but he couldn't do anything to get rid of it as he still felt his breath short. Yes, he was having a panic attack. Unable to breathe, as fear of death started looming over his head, Izuku ran out of that place away from all the people who didn't care about him and he somehow ended up on the rooftop of the nearby building, apparently the biggest one around. And just as he reached the rooftop, Izuku somehow fell, losing consciousness completely. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 12 comment. Chapter 10. Chapter 10 Despair. Despair is the denial of hope. It is the belief that there is no future and that nothing can change. Unknown. Location rooftop where Izuku lost consciousness. When Izuku woke up probably after a few hours as he could see the sun setting down as an orange hue filled the sky. Initially, Izuku was confused as to why was he there and what was he doing. As he tried remembering, everything came back like a flood, everything that happened to him since the beginning of the day. From Kazuki and Bakugo's bullying to meeting All Might in real life, to finding out his dad was All Might and how he sees Izuku as worthless. Tears well up in his eyes as for the first time in his life Izuku started having pure unadulterated rage. And it was directed at none other than the symbol of peace aka All Might aka his dad. Izuku couldn't tolerate the lie All Might told. How he so casually said anybody can be a hero with a smile, a line that was sort of my mantra and the driving force, the source of my hope to endure everything I did till now, and yet he didn't mean it at all, said Izuku as he clenched his hands. Hypocrite, said Izuku in anger as that was the word that best described All Might currently. And if that wasn't all, he knew how much of an All Might fan I was, he knew it very well, and yet he neglected me just because I was quirkless to the point that I was totally forgotten. He didn't even trust me enough to think I could wield his quirk, and why? Because I was quirkless and had nothing to offer to the quirk, said Izuku in anger as he gnashed his teeth grinding them. All these thoughts gave birth to the rage Izuku never thought he would direct towards All Might, and yet here he was. Izuku continued gnashing my teeth in anger, but after some point, he stopped as he sat mindlessly watching the sun. What could he do? Take revenge? Many people tried doing so, people who were far more stronger than him, and what was he, a 14-year-old quirkless kid? How was he going to do what others failed at? Now Izuku knows about All Might's weakness, but before he can even act, All Might will easily dodge it. What would even the point be, other than being beaten by him and his brother before getting kicked out of the house or used as a punching bag or servant? As he realized all this, Izuku even started questioning all the sufferings he endured to be a hero. Did I even want to be a hero now? Knowing the number one hero symbol of peace was nothing but a hypocrite fake. Was there even a point in living such a miserable life? Said Izuku. That too, as the son of such a hypocritic fake, son of a mother who never looked at me since my diagnosis of being quirkless, not even once cared for my well-being, and what's the point of having a brother if all he can see in me is a punching bag whom he uses however he likes, as if I'm not a human but an endurance toy built for him, totally forgetting everything we planned together when we were going to be adults. Now that he has that hypocrite's quirk, his hits will get even more painful. Rather than dying being bullied by him and Bakugo, I would choose to die of my own accord. What about Fuyumi? What will she think? Thought Izuku. All these thoughts came into Izuku's mind but vanished as quickly as they appeared. After all, after the meeting with All Might, his dream and reason for living died, all the endurance he had to survive died as well, and living with such disgusting people being related to them was getting on his nerves. And even if he gets into UA, what's the point when the dream has died? All Izuku will be is an emotional burden on her, and as a man who wanted to be a hero, there is no way he can accept such a thing. And most of all, I can't go in front of her with these dead eyes. If Emmy wasn't scared by my bandages, seeing me now she definitely would, and how can I show such a small kid such a face? As I no longer have what it takes to smile, even if small kids surround me, all I can do is show a fake smile. And that's something I don't want to show any of the kids there, said Izuku as he tried smiling, but he failed miserably. With all those thoughts in his mind, one thing was clear: Izuku didn't want to live any longer, at least among these people whom he used to call friends and family. And that's when Bakugo's quotes from today morning came into his mind. Take a swan dive from the roof and pray for a quirk in my next life, he said just before Izuku lost consciousness. And for the first time in my life, Izuku thought about listening to him. After all, even if Izuku didn't get a quirk, at least he didn't want to grow up around such people who just disgust him and nothing else. But just jumping wouldn't be enough. At least he needed to leave a note behind for Fuyumi so that she wouldn't blame herself for anything that happened to him. And so Izuku wrote a note and tore it from his book, folded it, and placed it in the open zipper of his bag with only a small part of it coming out. With everything done and ready, Izuku looked at the sun one last time as it was about to set. He thought about jumping just as the sun set, signifying the end of the day and also the end of his story and his life as well. And so by the time the sun set, he cleared out all of his thoughts as he steeled his resolve, cried one last time, and removed his shoes and socks as he stood at the edge of the rooftop. And just as the sun set, Izuku closed my eyes, and without wasting a second he spread his hands as he jumped and let gravity do its work as he was falling down very fast. Just as he was about to hit the iron spikes on the gate and get himself impaled to the next life, something weird happened. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 12 comment. Chapter 11. Chapter 11. Worry. Worrying about someone is a privilege because it means you have someone in your life worth worrying about. Unknown. When Mr. Miyamoto returned after putting all the stuff home, Izuku was gone. He was nowhere to be seen. He might have gone somewhere, thought Mr. Miyamoto. It was already way past school hours, and given Izuku's state before, there was no way anyone would have bullied him anymore for the day. I definitely will talk to him tomorrow. I'll tell him to leave the school right now. If he disagrees, I'll force him. I'll do whatever is needed, but I will make sure he leaves the school, at least till he gets into UA. What happens at UA isn't my concern. After all, they are quite strict against bullying. There Izuku will be safe. My duty is to make sure he is left alive till he makes it into UA, said Mr. Miyamoto with a determined look on his face as he clenched his fists. I'll definitely make sure he listens to me. I have already talked with my friend, and he will make sure to let Izuku get a passing degree without having to go to school anymore. He can use that time to get rest and recuperate all those wounds that he has got. At least that way he can have a normal life for once, thought Mr. Miyamoto. Thinking about that, Mr. Miyamoto went home and called his contacts, confirming everything he talked about before so that things could take immediate effect. I'll definitely save you, said Mr. Miyamoto as he remembered the state Izuku was in before, as tears started rolling down his eyes, then shook his head, wiping his tears and thinking about how he would save him. With that optimism, he left the school premises and went to his home department store where Izuku bought his medic supplies. Inside the store manager could be seen fiddling his fingers as well as clicking them on the table. This is weird. Why hasn't he come yet? It's already past the time he usually comes. Even if he is very late, he makes sure to let me know about it somehow. Did he not need the medicines anymore? Said the store manager as he started thinking about all the things as questions started flooding his head. No, as much as I hate to admit it, there is no way the bullying that started getting extreme slowly stopped all of a sudden. And even if that was the case, he would be the first one to tell me about it. It's not like there is someone else who will come and tell me about his state. So why hasn't he come yet? Is he stuck in some kind of problem or something? Said the store manager, as questions started flooding his mind. The store manager finally sighed as he said, I can't help but feel worried for him, and sat on the chair. He looked at the family photo and the smiling faces of his wife and daughter as it was taken in an amusement park they visited just before her wife fell ill. He said, had my wife not been sick, I would have definitely called the cops, even at the cost of my job. Had my wife been well and I wouldn't need money on a regular basis for her medicines, then I would have definitely even filed a case against the owner for covering up child abuse, said the store manager as Izuku's state came to his mind. Seeing the medic bag on the counter, which had increased in size by 3 times since Izuku started coming to get it, a worried look formed on his face as he said, "But still, this is becoming concerning. If he doesn't show up by the end of today, I'll definitely have to do something about it. I can't just let him be like that. If something happens to him, then I won't be able to forgive myself," said the store manager. As he was thinking all this, a very disturbing thought came to his mind. What if my daughter goes through something like that? And what if no one helps her, just like no one is helping him? Just imagining seeing her daughter in that state caused him to have a very grim look as he violently shook his head to remove that thought from his head as he said, "No, that's not gonna happen. I'm going to save him. I'm not cruel enough to turn a blind eye to what's happening with him and use the excuse of my family to not do anything. Even if my family has to suffer a bit, I'm sure they will understand my actions. I will make sure that I save that child. Giving him medics isn't enough. I should have called the police, yet this was all I could do. But it's okay, better late than never. I'll make sure to save him. If he doesn't come by the end of the day, then I'm definitely calling the cops. I don't care what happens to me, but I'll make sure to put the owner as well as those who bullied him," said the store manager. As he said all this, he realized, "I developed that kid's muttering habit," he said as he had a helpless laugh. Remembering him, the store manager said, "I am so sorry, kid. I know I should have done this sooner, but don't worry, I'll definitely save you," as a determined look came on his face. Todoroki household. It's strange. Why did he not come today? He always comes, and that too on time. Why did he not come today? If he wasn't going to come, he would have definitely called or texted me, thought Fuyumi as she had a worried look on her face as she was roaming in the house. There definitely seems to be something wrong. I knew I should have said something to him given how his injuries were significantly increasing with every meeting, said Fuyumi as she couldn't help but worry about him. When she was walking around, she saw Tuya's tamaya. In the Shinto religion of Japan, a memorial altar is dedicated to the spirits of the deceased. Seeing Tuya's memorial, she couldn't help but see Izuku's face overlap with Tuya's as she said, "He looks just like Tuya, his smile, his tendencies as well as his injuries, everything reminds me of him." That's the only reason I couldn't ask him how he got those injuries. There was also the reason that I knew he was quirkless and he was getting bullied, but I chose to not ponder over it as it would just be salt over his wounds, said Fuyumi. However, her face turned grim as she said, "But it seems his condition is deteriorating by the day. And as an adult, I should have done something about it. After all, my dad is the #2 hero, flame hero Endeavor. Yet, what did I do? I did nothing at all. I couldn't do anything about it for Tuya Nii-san, but that's not gonna happen this time." With a determined look, Fuyumi said, "I'll wait for Izuku's reply till the time Dad comes. After that, if I don't receive any news from him, then I'm telling Dad and making sure that whoever bullies him gets punished. I won't let history repeat itself. I wasn't able to save Tuya Nii-san, but not this time. I will save Izuku when I know how he needs love and care of a family, something he definitely isn't getting in his own home, or else someone might have definitely done something about it and he wouldn't be roaming around in so many bandages. And he can be friends with Shoto as well. I'm sure both of them need friends and they can be each other's friends. In fact, they might definitely become good friends, I'm sure of it. That way both of them would be able to heal each other as well. Hey! That's a good idea. I'll adopt him into our family, and with Dad's help, it can happen easily. That is fixed now. I'll tell Dad to adopt him. I won't let him suffer anymore." When she finished talking, she realized that she was muttering just like Izuku used to, and it caused a small smile to form on her face as she said, "It looks like I developed his muttering habit." Turning her smile to a determined one, she said, "Izuku-kun, don't worry, I will save you." Symbol of fear. Izuku's POV. "My life felt like a curse and I wanted to end it as soon as possible. And I jumped, accepting death and thinking about gaining better people in my next life, although I definitely wished these people to be among them as well, but that was nothing but wishful thinking on my part. And that's how I jumped, totally unaware of what was going to happen next." The prologue ends, and from here on out things will be fast-paced as well as action-packed. Filled with nothing but slow revenge, Izuku takes on the world as he becomes someone worthy of the title symbol of fear. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 29 comment. Chapter 12. Chapter 12, Rebirth. The Phoenix must burn to emerge. Janet Fitch. Location: building from where Izuku jumped. Just as Izuku jumped, something strange happened as he was hovering in the air just centimeters away from getting impaled by the iron spikes of the gate. And no matter what he did, he was in a static position, unmoving. He tried doing everything he could but to no avail. Then all of a sudden he got pulled towards the side and smashed into the wall as Izuku fell to the ground, his body aching in a lot of pain. And just when he thought the pain ended, all of a sudden his body started aching like crazy, as if someone was churning and twisting his internal organs without mercy. And the pain continued for a long time. Izuku screamed, overtaken by the unbearable pain. He couldn't notice that the pain was healing his body. All the broken bones and internal injuries started healing itself at an unimaginable pace, causing the pain. Once the internal injuries were dealt with, all the superficial ones also started healing. All the cuts, burns, bruises, blood loss, as well as the flowing blood, everything was healed to the point that if someone now saw him, then they could never say that he was even once bullied by anyone. Izuku's body was automatically fulfilling all the requirements of his body, everything his age group kids would have, or the ideal requirements of his body. Once that was done, his body started giving him more. His body started reaching peak human level, be it endurance, strength, or speed. Everything was reaching a superhuman level, and to say it was a painful process was an understatement. The pain Izuku felt was more than he felt in his whole life. Staying conscious was harder, as all he wanted was to just give in to the pain and die, but something was preventing him from sleeping, losing consciousness, and losing his life as well. It was a quirk awakening. Actually, it was something that had been happening since the age of after his quirk test. No one knew, but Izuku was slowly developing a quirk as the extra bone in the leg was diminishing, but with all the bullying Izuku couldn't concentrate or differentiate it, as all the pain that he experienced from this process was overshadowed by the pain of his bullying and his worry of becoming a hero. Although he was grateful that he didn't have to experience that pain, but due to constant bullying and all the injuries he incurred, the process of his quirk awakening became very slow, as his body didn't get enough time and energy it needed to manifest his quirk, as majority of his time was spent in healing the injuries. That's why it took almost 10 years for the process to complete. And be it a slide of fate or coincidence that his quirk manifested finally when he was about to end my life. So when all the pain ended and his metamorphosis was complete, Izuku almost lost consciousness. However, at the same time, something within his body was preventing him from sleeping or losing consciousness. Metamorphosis was complete. Now Izuku had not only reached peak superhuman level in terms of energy, his body got rid of all the scars, internal and external, as well as his face changed. So did his hair color, eye color, everything about him changed, as if he got a new body. Nothing about him was the same as before, apart from the memories he had. And Izuku noticed this. As he was conscious, he could feel his facial muscles and bones changing shape, restructuring his face. He could feel everything, even his body changing. After the metamorphosis was complete, Izuku had a muscular built, slender figure, mid-length straight black hair that reached his ears. He had green eyes and thin black eyebrows. And my boy Izuku became Daddy Fushiguro. However, that was something Izuku could figure out later as well. As of now, he needed to focus on the recently awakened quirk that was going rampant in his body, adjusting his body to the quirk. The best example of it was his hands, which were glitching in and out, appearing and disappearing again and again. It should have been concerning seeing his hands disappearing, but he could still feel his hands and fingers, so he wasn't that concerned about it. And soon his body also started glitching, going ahead all of a sudden, going side and inside and outside of the building, going all crazy. Luckily, Izuku was a quirk nerd and he knew what needed to be done to get the rampant quirk under control. And after researching so many heroes, he also knew which were sure-shot ways to calm himself down. When he came out of the building, he started taking deep breaths as he forced himself to sit in one place. And once sat, he started focusing on his breathing, calming his breaths as well as feeling what was happening in his body. After a few minutes of calming himself down with deep breaths, Izuku could see that his hands and body calmed down as well, and the glitching also calmed down. Although his hands are still glitching, but it is at a normal slow enough rate for him to see what is actually happening. After his heart was calmed and his mind also relaxed enough, Izuku saw what was happening. He closed his eyes once again as he tried feeling the quirk in his body as well as trying to understand the glitching that was happening inside his body. And started trying to understand what that feeling was, where his quirk factor was inside body, along with seeing the extent of powers he has and can use. Making a mental note out of his findings, so that he can write them down and track his growth and progress accordingly. After a few minutes, Izuku concluded that it was some kind of glitch quirk, the kind that happens in technology, and he could glitch his entire body with that quirk or just a particular part of my body as well, as his quirk factor was inside his whole body. And once he knew what the quirk was and got some idea of the future prospects and possibilities of his quirk, he stood up, his breathing still relaxed as he tried glitching his hand out of the wall, following which he did the same with the other hand, and then finally with his whole body. Technically, all he did was phase through the walls, but it was an associate skill or sub-skill of his quirk, and likely the first step to master his quirk. And he needed to start from the easiest one first, accustoming himself to it all. And phasing was a success. Well, it was half thanks to the meditation he did to sort of calm his thoughts as well as deal with the stress and pain of the bullying he used to experience up till now, that he was able to calm himself down this fast. And then when Izuku saw it was a success, he jumped in joy, glitching in and out of the building out of excitement. I finally have a quirk more versatile than anyone around my age. Now I can get my revenge on all those who have wronged me. All those who turned a blind eye towards my condition and even promoted bullying me. I will get my hands on all of them and give them a death far more painful than they have ever imagined. Said Izuku in joy, which slowly turned into anger and finally turned into a sadistic smile. I will make them regret bullying me and treating me as if I were an object of their play. And I will get back to that so-called symbol of peace hypocrite known as Toshinori Yagi. I will make him regret being such a hypocrite and also make him regret discriminating between me and Kazuki. And thank God I don't have a quirk related to either of my parents. I don't want or need anything related to them. Continued Izuku, as technically there was no one around him to listen to his monologuing. All Izuku wanted currently was death and chaos. I will ruin his everything, destroy everything he holds dear, and every value he has upheld, said Izuku as his eyes shone with a murderous glint as his hands started violently glitching. Consumed by rage, Izuku totally ignored what was happening around him. His quirk was working in accordance with his emotions, affecting reality as the surrounding area was getting violently destroyed. Some areas even disappeared, causing visual anomalies, and the alley he was in started deforming. And just see the video where Particle Collider explodes in Sony's first Spider-Verse movie and what happens to the city due to it. Saying this, Izuku decided to get out of that alley first as he came out of there and went in a certain direction. Well, it is just named Sake, as even he doesn't know where he's going, but subconsciously he is going away from my previous house, school, and everything related to my past life, totally ignoring the destroyed and deformed surroundings which his quirk did. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 17 comment. Chapter 13. Chapter 13, Determination. So this novel just crossed 100k views, so as a way to appreciate and thank you all for this achievement, here's a bonus chapter for you all. Keep enjoying my work. Thank you, my dear readers. Determination is the wake-up call to the soul. Rocky Balboa. Todoroki household. As Fuyumi had decided, since Izuku didn't call her by the time Endeavor came, she told him about it. Flashback no jutsu. It's already 9 and he hasn't called me yet, said Fuyumi as she was walking around the house in worry. Fuyumi had never been this worried about anyone before. That's the reason it was caught by her two brothers as well. Fuyumi, nay, why are you having such a troubled look? Asked Shoto while eating his dinner. Don't tell me you already have a boyfriend, Fuyumi ne, said Natsuo in an amused tone as well as a teasing smile on his face. I can't believe someone caught your eye so soon, Nason, said Natsuo, teasing her while eating his dinner. It's nothing like that, Fuyumi said, brushing it off. After all, how could she fall in love with someone much younger than her? He is practically Shoto's age. Then why are you blushing? Asked Natsuo with a smirk. As this was going on, Endeavor came in, causing Natsuo to murmur, "Mood killer," as he quickly finished his food and stood up. Shoto did the same but at a slower pace than Natsuo. Seeing the two brothers going to their respective rooms as soon as Endeavor came in caused Fuyumi to sigh in exhaustion, as she was too worked up to think about this right now, and Izuku's safety was more important. Seeing this, Endeavor didn't think much as it was irregular and he wasn't going to think too much about it. However, seeing Fuyumi's worried expression, which was more than usual, Endeavor asked, "What's wrong, Fuyumi?" "It's a kid, Dad," said Fuyumi. "What do you mean?" asked Endeavor in a confused state. "There is a kid named Izukuyagi. He is quirkless. Apparently he gets bullied every day for being quirkless and is always covered in bandages. Although I had promised him not to tell anyone as he wanted to become a pro hero, he always visits me every week on Mondays, but he hasn't shown up today. He hasn't even been replying my texts or answering my calls, which he never does. And if he wasn't gonna come, then he would have definitely informed me so that I don't worry, but today nothing happened. And he didn't even show up today. I think something has happened to him. Please look into it for me, Dad. He is the same age as Shoto," explained Fuyumi. Endeavor silently listened to everything as he started thinking about something. "Are you sure something has happened to him?" asked Endeavor. "Yes, I know him very well. Even if nothing would have happened and he just couldn't come, he would definitely let me know. He tells me everything in detail, yet skips the bullying part altogether, but I'm not blind. I can see and tell the difference between bullying and training, and what he's going through is increasing every day. That's why I'm sure something has happened to him," explained Fuyumi. "What about his family?" asked Endeavor. "They don't care about him. If they did, then he wouldn't be this badly injured. Didn't you listen that he is quirkless? You treat us differently because of our quirks. Shoto is your prized child and thus you give him all of your time and focus on his training alone while neglecting us altogether. Do you want me to tell you what him being quirkless means?" asked Fuyumi in a somewhat annoyed tone. Endeavor didn't say anything as he had just recently realized how much of a partial father he was and also understood why his kids never liked him, and because of this his family was almost broken. Had it not been Fuyumi holding everyone like glue, then this family would have scattered long along and he couldn't have done anything at all, and for that he was thankful of Fuyumi. And understanding that Izuku was quirkless, he understood the kind of treatment he would have received at his home. After all, he was just like them, who discriminated against his own kids based on their quirks, so he totally understood Fuyumi's concern. As someone who had recently realized the importance of family and was trying to make amends and fix his family, he wanted to make things right, and Fuyumi was definitely helping him in this, and that's why he decided to listen to his daughter. And he sort of had again become partial, but in a good way. As he was listening to everything Fuyumi said, of course, Fuyumi taught him how a father should act. All in all, Fuyumi was teaching her father how to be a good father and a good husband, so everything was good. Although Endeavor would be prideful enough to not admit his mistakes openly or even apologize for that matter, he had subconsciously started rectifying his mistakes as well as understanding how wrong his methods were. And no matter how messed up his family matters were, he was still the number 2 hero, and as a hero, he couldn't neglect a quirkless kid being bullied, especially when he was someone close to Fuyumi. Although Fuyumi wouldn't have noticed her state when worrying about Izuku, even Endeavor, who is the last person one would go to in matters of emotion, even he could tell that, for Fuyumi, Izuku was more than just a friend or quirkless kid she wanted to help. Although he didn't meddle into any of that matter, as a man-child named Endeavor was slowly maturing and it was his way of giving her some space. Well, he did it subconsciously, and if someone would have pointed it out, he would have definitely acted like a tsundere, denying any such things. And so he just called Detective Tsukachi Naomosa. "Naomosa, I am giving you the name of the missing kid, Izukuyagi. I want you to leave everything and search for him right now. I don't care how much police force you have to use. I want him as soon as possible. Start searching for him right now. I'll send you his image." Saying this, Endeavor cut the phone. Don't worry, we'll find him soon, said Endeavor in a reassuring tone. And somehow hearing this, Fuyumi felt somewhat satisfied, thinking now Izuku would be safe as Fuyumi said, "Thanks, Dad." Saying this, Fuyumi went to her room. Even Endeavor felt satisfied. That's when he realized something. "Hey! What about my dinner?" asked Endeavor as he realized that he was just used by her eldest child. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 11. Comment. Chapter 14. The Search. The search for lost people is a reminder that we are all connected and that we all need each other. Unknown. Location: Police Headquarters. Detective Naomasa Tsukachi was sitting in his cabin drinking coffee when a man came into his office saying, "Detective, help me, detective, help me." "Calm down and tell me what's the matter," said Detective Naomasa as he put down the coffee mug. "My name is Uchiyama Masato. I'm the store manager of the pharmacy around the corner. There is a kid, you need to find him at any cost," said Masato as he looked very worried. "Calm down, Masato-san, and tell me everything," said Detective Naomasa, trying to calm Masato down. "There is a quirkless kid almost 14 years old. He gets bullied by his classmates and others every day, and he is always covered in bandages because of it. He comes to my store every Monday to get the medical supplies like bandages, burn ointments, painkillers and other such medicines that should be worth a month at the least, but he seems to finish it all in just a week. Today's Monday and he should have come today to get his supplies, yet he hasn't come yet. If he would not have been able to come, then he would have informed me about it via call or text, but I haven't received any such things. And there is also no way for the bullying to stop all of a sudden when lately his bullying was just increasing in severity. Please find him. There is definitely something wrong here," said Masato in one sweep, although he was slow enough for Detective Naomasa to at least understand what's the problem here. Detective Naomasa narrowed his eyes listening to this as he said, "Oh, there's been bullying taking place in our area, and that too of a small middle school quirkless kid. May I ask why and how long has this been going on?" "I don't know. I joined the store at least 3 to 4 years ago and he seems to be coming since then at the least. He could even be coming before that," said Masato. Detective Naomasa narrowed his eyes even more as he said in an intimidating tone, "And what were you doing since? Then why after 4 years you are growing concerned for the kid? Don't you know bullying is a crime and hiding a crime is also considered a crime?" Masato flinched for a second as he faced Detective Naomasa again as he said, "Firstly, the kid was adamant about me not telling anyone. It seemed his family had forsaken him as well, and when I told the store owner about it, he threatened me to not act over smart and mind my own business if I want my job to be there. And I had to stay quiet as my wife was in the hospital and I needed money constantly for my wife's treatment. And I have a daughter as well whom I need to feed. Basically, I was unable to do anything for him, yet it wasn't like I had completely forsaken him. I used to give him medicines on cost and sometimes from my pocket, as how could a 14-year-old kid get so much money to spend on medicines?" Detective Naomasa listened to this intently as his gaze softened a bit, realizing he was in a tight pinch, and did whatever he could. Then he asked, "So why have you come now? Is your wife all healed up?" "No, sir, she isn't, but he hasn't made any contact with me. He is the same age as my daughter and anyone could be in the state he is in, even my daughter, and just thinking about my daughter being in the same state as he made my heart dread in horror. And if I can't imagine my own daughter in such a state, how can I turn a blind eye to the kid who's actually going through it? And when I know his family isn't caring for him, I couldn't help myself and wanted to do something for him, and thus here I am in front of you, even at the risk of losing my job when my wife is still in the hospital," said Masato. Detective Naomasa nodded, understanding everything as he wrote down all the important things Masato told as he said, "Don't worry, we'll look into this matter and also investigate it along with the store owner. You don't need to worry about it. I'll let you know when we find anything about it." Masato nodded. "By the way, what is the name of the kid and do you have any identification of the kid?" asked Detective Naomasa. "Yes, his name is Izukuyagi and here is his photo. Luckily I was able to get a photo of him when the bandages were considerably lower than now," said Masato as he gave Detective Naomasa a photo of Izuku and Masato. Listening to the surname Yagi alerted Detective Naomasa as he looked at the photo of Izuku absent-mindedly thinking about something. Is this kid related to All Might? Thought Detective Naomasa. Detective Naomasa was silent until he was brought back to reality by Misato when he said, "Sir, please let me know as soon as possible if you find anything about him." "Don't worry, I'll let you know about it as soon as we find something about him," said Detective Naomasa. Just as Misato left, he received a call from someone. Seeing the name on the caller ID made Detective Naomasa confused as to what might have happened at this hour of the night. All the same, he picked up the call and he said, "Yes, Endeavor? Naomasa, I am giving you the name of the missing kid, Izuku Yagi. I want you to leave everything and search for him right now. I don't care how much police force you have to use. I want him as soon as possible. Start searching for him right now. I'll send you his image." Saying this, Endeavor cut the phone. Detective Naomasa had his lips twitching as he saw how Endeavor treated him, giving orders as if he owned the police, and then once done cut the phone. However, that aside, he needed to take this matter seriously now, as number 2 hero wouldn't call at such a time and demand something like this if it wasn't important, and thus he decided to take this case himself, whereas before he was thinking of giving this case to one of his juniors. But with Endeavor's involvement, he cannot take this matter lightly, plus the name Yagi put lots of questions in his head, as one question couldn't go out of his head. What is this kid Izuku Yagi's relation to All Might, and why is Endeavor so interested in him? When he received a photo of Izuku from Endeavor and saw that it was the same Izuku whose photo Misato gave him and asked him to find him. "Let's leave it right now, I'll get answers when I find the kid," said Detective Naomasa, sighing as he started calling his men and assigning them roles in search of this kid. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 21 comment. Chapter 15. Chapter 15, Meeting the Power Broker. The neglected child is the most vulnerable. He is the one who is most likely to be abused, to be neglected, to be ignored, to be forgotten. Nelson Mandela. On one side, Detective Naomasa had started his search for Izuku. On the other side, Izuku, who had recently awakened his powers, was walking down an unknown road while playing with his quirk. It was already midnight and most of them were sleeping, and the place he was walking on was on the outskirts of Mustafa City, also famously known as the Forsaken Realm, where none of the pro-heroes come as they wouldn't get any fame and they wouldn't get money, as well as it's a lawless zone out of their jurisdiction, and the heroes aren't generous enough to do something for free. Even All Might takes money for his hero duties and extra pay for being the symbol of peace. Izuku was walking down this path as he knew that this was one place where no pro-hero would come willingly unless told to, and he knew this was a place where he could stay peacefully, not caring about any pro-heroes coming here. However, it wasn't the only reason why he was here. He had heard about a power broker who would handsomely pay for any useful information, and Izuku had decided to sell some of the information he had on the heroes so that he could gain money, as well as make contacts in the underworld. He had decided to become a vigilante who kills fake heroes, and thus he needed to make contacts with a few big shots in the underworld who could back him up and provide him with the pieces of equipment he would need, and for that, he decided to sell information on the pro-heroes. Along with that, he decided to become an information broker and open his company in the underworld, where he would charge handsome money for providing them in-depth information on pro-heroes which would be highly accurate, which can be used by anyone to get rid of them, and the amount of information would be equal to the amount of money he gets. If someone only gives him few thousands of yen, then he would give them basic information equivalent to the tip of iceberg. And the price for information on the top 20 pro heroes would be 3 times the amount on regular pro heroes. He had planned everything while he was still playing with his quirk. As far as why was Izuku researching the underworld and power brokers is concerned, he had planned to look into the matter when he became a pro hero if other pro heroes wouldn't have done anything, and now his research was proving to be useful to him, obviously not to catch the power broker but to meet some big shots of the underworld. And Izuku reached where he wanted to go. He was in front of a rundown building that looked like it would fall at any moment. He knocks on the door and hears a voice. "Who's this? What do you want?" The voice was very intimidating. Of course, no one would be stupid enough to come to a power broker's place and knock on his door, so the man on the other side of the door assumed it was a newbie or someone weak, so he didn't hesitate to intimidate Izuku. But Izuku was unfazed as he said, "I want to meet the power broker." "There is no one here by the name of power broker, go off somewhere else," said the voice from inside. "I want to meet Jiren and I know he is here," said Izuku. "Are you deaf or something? There is no power broker here, neither is there any man with the name Jiren here, so go and off somewhere else, kid, don't waste my time, or else, no one will come to know what became of you, kid, this isn't a place for kids," shouted the man from inside. Izuku still unfazed as he says, "Think about it, I have information worth millions if not billions that Jiren might want. Don't blame me if because of you he suffers such a big loss and then you are seen lying dead somewhere, getting eaten or rotting in some dark alley. As if I don't meet Jiren, I have many other people who would do anything for the kind of information that I have, some are even competitors of Jiren, well his loss," said Izuku at the end as he started leaving. As he was leaving he heard a voice from inside, "Wait," as the door opened and came a hunk of a man, probably a bouncer or bodyguard that Jiren hired for himself. "Come in," said the hunk as Izuku smirked. He knew how valuable information he had, and he knew how to leverage it. Izuku went in and was taken to a basement that was built under the rundown building, and the difference between both the structures was so vast that no ordinary person would think there would be such a basement under a rundown building that could fall at any moment. And through the basement, Izuku was led to a room that looked like a meeting room used to conduct meetings. "Wait here, boss will meet you soon," said the hunk of a man that led Izuku to this room. However, Izuku didn't have to wait long as a middle-aged man of moderate height and slight build, with short gray hair and notably squinted-looking pink eyes. He wears a pair of dress breaths and a matching blazer, along with plain black shoes and a shirt which he leaves partially unbuttoned at the top. "Nice meeting you, Jiren the power broker, or should I call you Kajiro Okuta?" said Izuku as he looked Jiren in the eyes. Listening to his real name, which he heard after a really long time, saying he was shocked would be an understatement. He had given up on that name long before he became the power broker Jiren, to the point that even AFO didn't know his real name. And here he was sitting in front of a 14-year-old kid who told his real name, which he most likely stopped using long before Izuku was even born, so he was filled with lots of questions. However, what Izuku said afterward left Jiren speechless as Izuku said, "Jiren, real name Kajiro Okuda, a villain and broker affiliated with the big shots of the underworld. A shrewd and cunning individual who is always looking for ways to profit. A skilled negotiator who has a deep understanding of the criminal underworld. Jiren's quirk, Muddied, allows him to cause minor amnesia to his target by making contact with their head, causing their memories of the previous 5 minutes and the next 5 minutes to become vague. I hope this much information is enough." Jiren had a grim look on his face. He never felt this vulnerable, and now he wanted to know Izuku's intentions as to whether he was a friend or foe, so he asked, "What do you want?" "Like I said, I want to sell some information," said Izuku calmly. "Then what was this, reminding me of my background or what?" asked Jiren in frustration. No, it's just to show that I mean business. I don't want any stupid bullshit, and also to prove how exclusive information I have. And if you try to double-cross me, then I'll sell all the information I have on you to your competitor or even the police depending on my mood," said Izuku as his face turned serious as a murderous glint appeared in his eyes. A cold sweat ran down Jiren's spine as he felt Izuku was some kind of predator, and FENG with him would prove to be a fatal mistake, and also he needed to be careful dealing with him, and he knew all the information that Izuku gave about him was on point and that to something no one in Underworld knew of. The atmosphere turned cold as Jiren started calculating and planning his next move. "Like I said, I want to sell some information on pro heroes, and I want some things in return, so what's it gonna be?" asked Izuku. Creators' thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 10 comment. Chapter 16. Chapter 16 Negotiations. Negotiation is the art of getting what you want without going to war first. John F. Kennedy. Like I said, I want to sell some information on pro heroes, and I want some things in return, so what's it gonna be? Asked Izuku. What do you want? Asked Jiren, his mind on overtime, thinking about everything as well as using calculated words, as one word could ruin him, and if he dealt with Izuku properly, he could earn millions. As given how accurate information Izuku gave about him, he knew one thing for sure: the information Izuku has is very detailed and accurate, and in the underworld, for this level of accurate information people would be willing to give up any amount no matter how absurd, so he didn't want to mess things up. Firstly, I want to meet one of the big shot villains of the underworld. I want the backing of some big shots of the underworld who are capable of manipulating the country from the shadows. Secondly, I want a financier and a backer who would help me build my company. I want to be an information broker in the underworld, and I will charge absurd amounts of money for information on pro heroes. The more up in ranking one hero is, the more absurd the amount would get. Since you now know how accurate my information is, you understand my reasoning, and that's the reason I have come to you, Jiren, who is one of the most sought-out person in the underworld. And if you agree to back me up, I'll give you information at a discounted rate. Thirdly, I want a place to stay, a person to train me in physical training, stealth as well as in assassination, along with helping me in training my quirk, the equipment I would require to set up my company as well as the combat equipment I would need. Of course, I don't want it for free. I'll pay for it, but my needs need to be given a top priority. And lastly, I don't want betrayers, as I don't care why they betray me. If they betray, they die, and I won't see who it is. Betrayal won't be taken kindly and will be punishable only by death, and the level of betrayal will determine the severity of how painful death they will get, said Izuku as a murderous glint appeared on his eyes as well as a SDST smirk appeared on his lips, while the air around them turned colder. Seeing the authority with which Izuku was demanding things as if it was the most natural thing to do, caused Jiren to gulp. He was feeling angry for being treated like this as a kid. It was very insulting, but he decided to ignore them, for he could see mounts of never-ending money in front of him, to the point that he could even become the richest person in Underworld, and Izuku could make that a reality. That's why he decided to ignore. Aren't you asking too much? There are many people who would kill you just for being cocky, and you are technically asking me to help develop my own competitor, said Jiren. Why do you think I came here? I know Jiren has contacts, far too many than any other broker in the underworld, and I know you know the exact kinds of people I am asking for. You even have few people in mind already, so you know just the right person whom I wish to meet, who wouldn't care about the money a single bit if they can get their hands on this accurate information. Especially with the growing peace, I know many people want to cause chaos and get rid of the symbol of peace, All Might. And you know what? I just got my hands on All Might's true identity and what his quirk is and how it works, as well as his weakness and his postal address. With that, I have every information I need or anyone needs, such that even a petty pickpocketing thief can defeat All Might, and that too with ease. Of course, that information is very exclusive and the most costly one. I don't think I would be surprised if I get the ownership of Japan just for All Might's info. That's the kind of information I have on him. Now the choice is yours. I'm sure with such information my demands might seem like a child asking toffee, said Izuku as he took control of the situation as well as proved that he was far more valuable to be kept alive, as well as proved how in demand he can get. Listening to the things about All Might, Jiren's eyes were wide open, and if not for being attached in the eye socket, they might have actually come out. He knew AFO would throw money like nothing for such information. If he gets that kind of information, then he could become the most demanded broker. Plus he knew how much people would give blind money just to know his real identity. In the eyes of Jiren, Izuku had become the golden goose, a being far too valuable to be given to anyone, and all of a sudden all of his demands started looking not too big and reasonable as well. Jiren had a huge smile on his face as he said, "Okay, I will make sure all your demands are fulfilled, and you can stay with me for today. Tomorrow I'll take you to one of the big shots of the underworld who fulfills all the checkboxes you want. He will also take care of everything you need now and in the future, but let me tell you one thing, just like you, he doesn't take betrayal nicely. Just keep that in mind and we will be good to go. I'll let them know about you accompanying me tomorrow," said Jiren as he stood up from his sofa and went towards the phone across the room. "Good, make sure to let them know the status quo. That is, I won't be working under them or for them. I will be MSTR of my own thing, and our relationship will be of give and take. I will give them information, accurate information, and in return they'll provide me with things and pieces of equipment I need. Are we clear? Said Izuku as he made sure to tell what kind of relationship it was going to be so that there wouldn't be a headache in the future. Jiren nodded happily as he picked up the phone and dialed a number and talked to the person on the other side of the phone. After a while, Jiren came to Izuku and said, "Our appointment is fixed for tomorrow. I'll make your acquaintance to one of the big shots of the underworld." "Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask you one thing," said Jiren as he remembered something. "What?" asked Izuku. "What is your name? I never asked you your name," said Jiren. "Oh, my name is." Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. A comment. Chapter 17. Chapter 17 Truth. Truth is the only constant in an ever-changing world. Heraclitus. Police headquarters. Next morning, a man could be seen running towards the police headquarters in a hurry. And again the same thing repeated that Masato did. Mr. Miyamoto, the man who was running towards the police headquarters, just barged into Detective Naomesa's cabin. "Sir, I want your help. Please find a kid. He's missing since yesterday," said Mr. Miyamoto in a hurry. Detective Naomesa felt like he was having a déjà vu. He also had a headache as he hadn't slept at all. He had a feeling that this man was also going to ask him to look for Izuku Yagi, as that's the name echoing in his head since last night, yet he could be wrong as well. So he asked the man, "Calm down and tell me what's happened." Mr. Miyamoto nodded as he said, "There is a kid named Izuku Yagi. He is quirkless and he is getting bullied, right?" said Detective Naomesa as he cut Mr. Miyamoto's sentence in between. "Yes, how do you know about it?" asked Mr. Miyamoto in shock. "You are the third person who asked to look for Izuku Yagi since last night," said Detective Naomesa sighing as he massaged his temples. "Who else asked for him?" asked Mr. Miyamoto as he felt weird that someone would be worried about him, especially when his parents had forsaken him, so there was no way they would be looking for him. "Masato, the store manager of the local pharmacy of this area, and number 2 Hero Endeavor, and they seemed equally worried as you are," said Detective Naomesa. Strange. Mr. Miyamoto felt weird that someone was really worried about him, but he shook his head, removing those thoughts as they weren't that important right now. "But the matter is serious, sir. His bullying has increased quite severely in the past few days, especially after I left," said Mr. Miyamoto, recovering from the initial shock. "What do you mean after you left?" asked Detective Naomesa as it was a lead. "I am a teacher at the school where Izuku goes to, or rather I was a teacher at the school where Izuku goes to, and apparently it was in the school where he was bullied," said Mr. Miyamoto, sighing. "What do you mean by was? Why did you leave?" asked Detective Naomesa. "As I said, Izuku was bullied in the school the most. However, I didn't allow anyone to bully him during my PRD, so they used to bully him twice when my PRDS weren't there. I tried telling the principal, but he just shut me up. Unable to bear it, I recently complained about the increasing bullying of Izuku to local authorities, but the bullies were somehow related to big shots or had versatile quirks, and thus the authorities did nothing, and it also looked like they had taken bribes from those big shots to close the case. And because I was alone who was concerned about Izuku in the whole school, the principal fired me from the school and put fake charges that I was found doing illegal dealings. That's why, taking advantage of me being thrown out of school, they bullied him the whole day, using their quirks unhinged and at full capacity, using him as a punching bag, and that's a everyday thing for the past 2 years. And yesterday was the extremist, as during the whole day no teacher came in and Izuku was constantly beaten by kids using their quirks however they wanted, as if doing training on a test dummy, and if that wasn't enough, they threw him out of the window of his classroom, which is on the 2nd floor, said Mr. Miyamoto, stopped to catch his breath as he continued. And the kind of injuries he had is the worst. He was bleeding profusely. He even lost consciousness with blood flowing from almost every part of his body burnt, filled with cuts and bruises. It was getting hard for me to find a spot which wasn't injured or bruised. I did his patchwork, and to say my hands were trembling would be an understatement. Seeing such a small child having injuries that majority of the trained militants don't have in their entire life, it's a miracle that I didn't lose consciousness. Had I not been there yesterday to get my stuff, then Izuku would have definitely been in a coma if he hadn't died. And the kids even had the ball to tell him to commit suicide so that he gets a quirk. In the next life, that's why I came here, 'cause letting him stay like this without doing anything, he won't be able to even survive a week. Finished Mr. Miyamoto as he had tears welling up in his eyes just remembering all those things. Detective Naomasa knew that Mr. Miyamoto was telling the truth as he was using his quirk the whole time, and whatever Mr. Miyamoto said was 100% true. And because of this, Detective Naomasa's face darkened listening to Mr. Miyamoto. He knew bullying was severe given the description by Endeavor and Masato about Izuku always being wrapped in bandages, but it was this severe he didn't know that. Now the case really became a top priority case, and knowing that police helped cover things up, he felt ashamed, as well as was fuming in rage as how could school neglect this, and most importantly how could they promote bullying, and that so many people were involved, especially the kids who want to become heroes yet bullied their classmate just for being quirkless. He could never let these people become heroes as they would just promote corruption. Detective Naomasa immediately called Endeavor and told him to come to the headquarters. And soon Endeavor came. However, he wasn't alone, as he was accompanied by his daughter, Fuyumi Todoroki, and all of a sudden the temperature of the room rose. "What's the matter, Naomasa?" asked Endeavor. Seeing such a heavy atmosphere, he understood the matter was serious. "This guy here is the school teacher where Izuku goes, and he knows a lot about the bullying that has happened to Izuku. You might want to hear this." Endeavor nodded as he looked towards Mr. Miyamoto and said, "Tell me everything." Seeing Endeavor so near to him, he gulped but still told everything in detail about what happened to Izuku in school every day. Listening to which Endeavor had a grim look, but Fuyumi couldn't control herself. Listening to the kind of bullying Izuku goes through every day and his condition yesterday, she couldn't control her emotions anymore as she burst out crying as she just covered her face and fell on the couch behind her as she continued crying and cursing herself for calling herself a fake friend as she called herself his friend, yet she didn't know what Izuku was going through and how she should have done something about it and how she doesn't deserve to be his friend. She kept cursing herself as her heart was crushed. She felt a huge hole in her heart as her worry for Izuku skyrocketed after knowing what happened to him, and her breathing started getting heavier as she lost consciousness. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 7. Comment. Chapter 18. Chapter 18. Truth 2. Truth is the first casualty of war. Aeschylus. She kept cursing herself as her heart was crushed. She felt a huge hole in her heart as her worry for Izuku skyrocketed after knowing what happened to him, and her breathing started getting heavier as she lost consciousness. Seeing this, Endeavor got worried as he went toward her as Detective Naomasa brought a glass of water which Endeavor used to sprinkle on Fuyumi's face as she soon came back to her consciousness. As she remembered what had happened, she started crying profusely while clenching onto her father as she said, "I'm sorry, Izuku. I'm so sorry. I didn't see what was happening to you. I'm sorry for not doing anything to help you." She kept saying all this for some time. After that, she looked at her father, and she said, "Please find him, Dad. I'll take him in with me. I'll make him live with us. But please find him, Dad," as she kept on crying. Mr. Miyamoto was somewhat happy to know Izuku had people who cared for him and that he wasn't the only one who worried for Izuku's well-being. He had a smile on his face, but it was quite subtle, almost imperceptible, as he felt his heart at ease knowing that if Endeavor was involved, he didn't have to worry about corruption or any big shots and that Izuku would get justice. Endeavor looked at Naomasa as he said harshly, "Find me all those kids who bullied Izuku and want to become heroes. I'll make sure to destroy their careers and make sure these kids never are allowed to become heroes. Japan doesn't need these kinds of heroes. Double the search for Izuku, use pro-heroes or whatever you want. I want Izuku before the end of the day. Call Nizu and tell him to look into the school as well as the management and teachers. I will deal with that store owner who decided to overlook such a serious matter and prevent others from helping Izuku," said Endeavor as his flames started burning brightly. He was in anger, whether it was due to her daughter's crying or listening to the tragic tale of Izuku, but he was burning in rage quite a bit and wanted to get rid of these kinds of people. Well, it was his way of atoning for his sins, as even though he wasn't this severe in discrimination, he still did discrimination between his children and he wanted to repent for it. I can help you with that. I know 2 of his bullies who were the ones who threw him out of the 2nd floor, said Mr. Miyamoto. Tell me, said Endeavor. Katsuki Bakugo, Izuku's childhood friend, and Kazuki Yagi, Izuku's twin brother, they are the ones who bully Izuku the most, said Mr. Miyamoto. Naomasa, call their parents and tell them I wish to talk to them, said Endeavor. That's when one police officer came and he said, Sir, we have found a bag and shoes of a high school kid on top of a building in the center of the city. This bag and shoes belong to Izuku, said both Fuyumi and Mr. Miyamoto at the same time. And we found a note named for Fuyumi Todoroki, said the officer who came in. Fuyumi stood up and took the note from the officer's hands and read it. After reading the letter, she collapsed on the couch behind her, tears streaming down her face. The words on the page blurred before her eyes as she tried to comprehend what she had just read. Her expression was blank and lifeless. She felt as if her heart had been shattered into a million pieces. She was completely stunned and overwhelmed by the news. Endeavor took the paper from Fuyumi's hands and read it. Reading it, he had a grim expression, as he looked at his daughter in pity and then at the paper once again. Naomasa, bring Nizuhim, pointing towards Mr. Miyamoto. As he continued, and call the Bakugos and Yagis at one place. This has gotten too serious and we need to make a serious talk with them right now. This is a matter of urgency and needs to be solved right now. Saying this, Endeavor left while supporting Fuyumi, who was still lost and lifeless as tears kept on falling down her face uncontrollably. Naomasa didn't know what were the contents of the letter, but one thing was sure, it was something concerning. He looked at the officer who brought the letter and made a gesture asking him, Officer, what were the contents of the letter? It was a suicide note, said the officer with an uneasy look on his face. Naomasa grimaced while Mr. Miyamoto couldn't believe what he was hearing, as he had a state similar to Fuyumi's but more controlled than hers. Tears started rolling down his eyes as memories of Izuku flashed before him, and all he could say was, I'm sorry, Izuku, as his eyes also turned blank and had a dead look on his face. He understood why Endeavor said that and quickly called Nizu, telling him about the situation and asking him to come to the Yagi residency immediately. Naomasa then looked at Mr. Miyamoto's sorry state, then looked at the office standing beside him and said, Officer, bring him to the Yagi residency right now. I need to call one more person. The officer saluted Naomasa as he supported Mr. Miyamoto and skirted him to the car. Once all alone, Naomasa sighed heavily as he was visibly angry as he said, Just what the hell are you doing, All Might? He sighed once again as he picked up his cell phone and called someone. Gran Torino-san, it seems there is a situation, a very grave one at that, related to All Might. It would be good if you could come, it's very serious. Meet me at the Yagis, I'll explain everything to you there, said Naomasa. I'll be right there, said Gran Torino as he cut the phone. Naomasa nodded as he took his belongings and went towards the car waiting downstairs. As he told Mr. Miyamoto to give him the contact details of the Bakugos. Naomasa then called the Bakugos as he said, Mr. and Mrs. Bakugo, I'm Police Chief Detective Naomasa, and I want you both to meet me at the Yagi residency along with your child right now. Is there any problem, officer? Asked Mr. Bakugo. Yes, a very grave one, and we need you right now at the Yagi residency along with Bakugo, said Naomasa. We'll be there right now, officer, said Mr. Bakugo as he cut the call. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. Chapter 19. Chapter 19 Truth 3. Happy New Year, guys. Here's an advanced chapter for you all. Have a safe and prosperous Happy New Year. The truth is like a mirror. It shows you what you are, not what you want to be. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux. Yagi Residency. The atmosphere in Yagi Residency was heavy and grim. Toshinori Yagi, Inko Yagi, and Kazuki Yagi were sitting on a couch next to each other, with a confused looks on their face. Beside them were Masaru Bakugo, Mitsuki Bakugo, and Katsuki Bakugo, Katsuki had a confused look on his face as he didn't know why they were called, while Masaru and Mitsuki Bakugo were curious about what the important thing was that the police chief called them at the Yagi residency. In front of them was Endeavor, whose eyes never left Toshinori Yagi. Beside him to his right was his daughter Fuyumi Todoroki, who was casting death glares at Kazuki and Katsuki. To Endeavor's left was Detective Naomasa. Along with him were Gran Torino and Shota Aizawa, Eraserhead, the homeroom teacher of Class 1A, and on his white rope-like cloth was sitting Nizu, the principal of UA, who was urgently called. Along with them were two more people, Misato, the manager of the local pharmacy, and Mr. Miyamoto, their teacher. "So why are you all here?" asked Toshinori Yagi. "Are all your family members here, Toshinori?" asked Detective Naomasa. "Yeah, I am here, my wife is here, and so is my child," said Toshinori as if it were a fact. "Are you sure about it?" asked Detective Naomasa. "Yeah, why you ask?" asked Toshinori, confused. "I'm really disappointed in you, Toshinori," said Detective Naomasa. "But what happened?" asked Toshinori. "Where is Izuku Yagi?" asked Detective Naomasa. "I don't know, he may be sleeping or something," said Toshinori. "When was the last time you saw him?" asked Detective Naomasa, trying his best to not lash out. Underscore, Toshinori was silent. He didn't remember when was the last time when he had seen Izuku. "What about you?" asked Detective Naomasa, looking towards Inko. "I don't remember," said Inko, flinching as many eyes were on her. "Did you guys not have dinner with him? Was he not with you guys during dinner?" asked Detective Naomasa to both Toshinori and Inko. And both of them were silent, unable to answer the question. "And what about you two? When was the last time you both saw Izuku?" asked Detective Naomasa, looking at Kazuki and Katsuki, who were sitting together, separated only by the couch. "Yesterday at school," said both of them at the same time. "And how was he?" asked Detective Naomasa as he was clenching his fists tightly. "All good and well," said both of them with a straight face. "What's wrong, Naomasa? Why are you asking us about Izuku?" asked Toshinori. What's wrong you ask? You have the ball to ask that question," lashed out Detective Naomasa. "Your kid is getting bullied every day, he hasn't returned home since yesterday, and you didn't even notice it, and to top it all off, you guys don't even remember when was the last time you saw him. Are you FING with me or something? Do you have any idea what kind of bullying Izuku goes through every day, and what his state is right now? And now you say you don't remember when was the last time you saw Izuku? I'm sure you must be blind to not see your other son, who is quirkless, being wrapped in bandages every day, being bullied every day," said Detective Naomasa as he finished lashing out. "What? Izuku getting bullied? There's no way that's true," said Toshinori. "Oh, then why don't you ask Mr. Misato, the store manager of the local pharmacy, or Mr. Miyamoto, Izuku, and your other kid's teacher, or rather why don't you ask these two kids present here who are Izuku's biggest bullies?" said Detective Naomasa, pointing at all the mentioned people. Listening to their names, both Kazuki and Katsuki flinched as all the eyes were on them. Is that true, Kazuki? Are you bullying Izuku?" asked Toshinori. Kafi was silent as he just lowered his head. "Oh, you ungrateful child, answer us. Did you really bully Izuku-kun?" asked Mitsuki as she was fuming in rage. "Tisk, that was all Katsuki did. You guys seriously didn't monitor your kids' activities, what they are doing whole day, what kind of dangerous things they are doing, whether it's legal or not, or how they are treating others when they have superior quirks. You guys really are unfit to become parents," said Aizawa, as according to him they had failed as parents. Listening to this, the Bakugo parents were in shame as their heads were down, while the Yagis flinched and they couldn't say anything. "I am truly disappointed in you, Toshinori. I didn't expect you to be this discriminative between quirkless and quirk-possessing people," said Gran Torino as he had a sad expression on his face. "Bloody hypocrite, you aren't worthy," said Fuyumi with rage in her eyes. "What do you mean?" asked Toshinori. "Don't lie, you very well know what I'm talking about, Toshinori Yagi, or should I call you All Might?" Everyone except Endeavor is shocked hearing this. Nizu, Detective Naomasa, Gran Torino, the Yagis and Katsuki Bakugo are shocked as to how she knows about All Might's true identity. The Bakugo's parents, Mr. Miyamoto as well as Misato, upon finding out All Might's true identity, and Aizawa had an understanding look on his face as all the dots were connecting now. You aren't worthy to be called symbol of peace, said Fuyumi as she scoffed. Endeavor was also surprised. This was the first time he had seen his daughter in this much anger that he even questioned himself. Is this the same gentle and soft-spoken Fuyumi that I know? How do you know that I'm All Might? Asked All Might. Do I look like someone who owes you an explanation, you worthless piece of shit? Lashed Fuyumi, shutting All Might totally. Gran Torino and Nizu however spoke up. Please, you need to tell us. This is a really sensitive matter, and if his identity is found out by villains, things can go downhill for the heroes. Like I care about it, said Fuyumi as she crossed her arms. Endeavor-san, said Nizu and Gran Torino as they looked at him helplessly. It was written in the note, said Endeavor as he sighed. Nizu and Gran Torino were confused, but Detective Nao Mesa understood which note Endeavor was talking about, and his face turned dark once again. Seeing Nao Mesa's expression, Nizu and Gran Torino asked him, Nao Mesa, what note is Endeavor talking about? It's dash. Nao Mesa was about to talk, but Fuyumi cut his sentence. The note Izuku wrote to me before taking Bakugo's advice, said Fuyumi. What advice? Asked Gran Torino, Aizawa and Nizu. Then, here's the Patreon link. https://patreon.com Emperor Numix. I have created Patreon for uploading advanced chapters ahead of the schedule. Currently there are only 2 tiers. Later on I'll be adding more tiers as well. I'll even be posting some Patreon exclusive content for you guys, along with side stories related to the story which I won't be uploading on web novel. If you guys have any queries you can ask me. Hope to see you there. Please do support me on Patreon, as creating content is pretty taxing just to stay creative, so please do support me on Patreon. Thank you so much for everything you have done. Author Kuin signing off. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones, as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library. Comment. 12 comment. Chapter 20. Chapter 20 Punishment. Punishment is necessary to maintain social order. John Rawls. The note Izuku wrote to me before taking Bakugo's advice, said Fuyumi. What advice? Asked Gran Torino, Aizawa and Nizu. Why don't you tell them Katsuki Bakugo? Said Fuyumi as she glared at him. TSK, I didn't give him any advice, said Katsuki as he looked away. False, said Detective Nao Mesa, Fuyumi and Mr. Miyamoto together. Detective Nao Mesa knew Katsuki Bakugo was saying false because of his quirk, while Fuyumi knew he was saying false because of the note Izuku left for her, and Mr. Miyamoto was the eyewitness of that advice. There is no point in saying false. We know what advice you gave him, so tell everyone what advice you gave Izuku, said Detective Nao Mesa. However, Katsuki didn't say anything. If you don't want to say, it's fine, we have eyewitness of the advice, said Detective Nao Mesa as he looked at Mr. Miyamoto and said, Mr. Miyamoto, would you be kind enough to tell everyone present here what advice Katsuki gave to Izuku? Mr. Miyamoto nodded as he said, take a swan dive off the roof and pray for a quirk in the next life. Those were the words or advice Katsuki Bakugo gave to Izuku Yagi moments after he was thrown out of the window of his class from the 2nd floor into the pond by both Kazuki Yagi and Katsuki Bakugo. Every adult in the room looks at Katsuki and Kazuki in horror, as Katsuki flinched as he said, that's bullshit, he would never do anything like that, said Katsuki in full confidence. We have evidence. We found Izuku Yagi's bag, his shoes and socks, and a suicide note named for Fuyumi Todoroki Dash, said Detective Nao Mesa when he was interrupted by Fuyumi again, as she said, where it is clearly mentioned that he took your advice and jumped from the building. Detective Nao Mesa, although annoyed at Fuyumi for interrupting him again and again, didn't say anything as he understood what she might be going through as well as how deep her bond with Izuku would be for her to be this worked up, so he just let her finish what she had to say as he continued. We have even found blood on the ground along with a deformed building, said Detective Nao Mesa as he showed them the bag and shoes in the evidence bag. When Detective Nao Mesa showed the evidence, all of their faces darkened. As Mr. Bakugo stood up and used his hand to bash Katsuki's head towards the ground, he placed his legs on Katsuki with one leg on his chest and the other on his face. Katsuki Bakugo was too stunned to register what happened. while others were also shocked at what happened all of a sudden. Shrugging over what happened, Detective Naomasa said, "I want to ask you both, the Yagis and the Bakugos, what were Kazuki and Katsuki thinking, throwing Izuku from the second floor and saying this respectively, and more importantly, where did they learn this from? Is this how you raised your kids? To bully those who are weak and quirkless? What kinds of heroes are they planning to be in the future, the ones that oppress weak people and exploit them? And most importantly, did they really not think what would happen to Izuku when they threw him out of the second floor? Did they not think Izuku would be gravely injured? And what kind of hero advises someone quirkless to jump and commit suicide to get a quirk in the next life?" According to what Mr. Miyamoto said about Izuku's condition, he was bleeding profusely from every part of his body, he was drowning in water, and had lost consciousness as well. Had he not been present there, Izuku might have fallen into a coma if he was lucky enough to not die of blood loss. If that's how you have taught your kids, then you guys are unfit to be parents, and they wouldn't be allowed to be such heroes. And as I have been told, this started ever since Izuku was diagnosed quirkless. Care to explain what were you guys doing not noticing your son's activities for the past 8 to 9 years? Said Detective Naomasa. Masaru, who was having his legs on Katsuki, tightened his grip on Katsuki as he stood up on Katsuki as he bowed down. "I am truly sorry for all the issues my ungrateful son has caused. We will make sure to discipline him." Then he looked at his wife and said, "When we go home, we are going to have a nice long discussion about raising this ungrateful child of ours," said Masaru Bakugo as he kicked his leg which was above Katsuki's head. "Yes, indeed, we will have a really long conversation. Poor Izuku, who had to suffer so much for so long and we couldn't even notice it. No wonder he started coming to our house less and less, and I'm sure if he would have tried to tell us about it, this piece of sheet here would have bullied him more. He was such a sweet child, completely opposite to this piece of sheet. I would have rather been happy having quirkless Izuku than having this ungrateful bee that bullies the weak," said Mitsuki, as she also placed her legs on Katsuki as if he was a doormat. "From now on you will not be allowed to use your quirk, not allowed to curse, and you will also not be allowed to be dumb or whine or complain, and if you don't do so, then you won't be given food at all," said Mitsuki. "Hey dash," Katsuki tried to refute, but he was met with another kick from both of his parents. "Not a word from you anymore. You have lost the right to talk or give your opinion anymore. Just stay quiet," both Masaru and Mitsuki said. "KK Kazuki, is this true?" asked All Might. "For God's sake, All Might, have you gone senile, or have you gone dumb, or what? Even after all this evidence you still asking whether this is true or not," said Gran Torino as he was ashamed of everything happening, and was not able to believe what these kids did. "I would like to add," said Nizu, "since I have found out that these two kids here are planning to join UA, I will say this. UA has no place for bullies who discriminate between people based on their quirks and can't allow such people to become heroes. But since these kids have good quirks, and if neglected then can become villains, so we will let them in, but they will have to give normal exams and will have to wear quirk suppressor bands. Along with that, they won't be allowed to participate in any of the UA's activities and also won't be given license until they pass UA, and that too after we see that they have made improvements and are fit to become heroes, and will also be under full surveillance for the whole time," said Nizu. "You can't do that, that's too much," said All Might. "Of course, I can do that, I'm the principal of the school, did you forget?" said Nizu in a no bullshit tone. "But, gosh," said All Might as he was interrupted by someone. Chapter 21. Chapter 21, Punishment 2. Punishment is not revenge. It is justice. Plato. "You can't do that, that's too much," said All Might. "Of course, I can do that, I'm the principal of the school, did you forget?" said Nizu in a no bullshit tone. "Along with that, they will have to do 30 hours a week of community service," continued Nizu. "When will they train their quirks?" asked All Might. "It's their lookout. I don't care what they have to do or sacrifice to train their quirks, it's none of my concerns. And yes, while doing community services they aren't allowed to use their quirks and will be wearing quirk suppressing collars or HNDCFFS while doing community services, and I'll make sure there is someone to monitor them so that they don't remove their quirk suppressing HNDCFFS or collars," said Nizu. Kazuki and Katsuki had a look of disbelief as if they heard something really absurd. "But, Tash," said All Might as he was interrupted by Gran Torino. "Shut the F up, All Might. Like Bakugo, you have no right to say anything in this matter. For what you guys have done, you should be lucky I'm not putting you behind bars and blacklisting these kids from becoming anything and having their names as child offenders," said Detective Naomesa, as he slammed his hand on the table. "Even after all this, you still had the ball to ask the question whether it's true or not with your son. Do you think we are here just for fun, wasting our time here? Even after all this, I see no amount of remorse or guilt in your eyes. Same goes for your wife here. She's seeing everything like this as some kind drama. As a mother, I can't believe she has shown zero remorse or anything, knowing her child might have committed suicide. All this is making me believe Fuyumi Todoroki's words here. That you are unfit to become the symbol of peace. Nana would be ashamed of you," said Gran Torino as he vented all of his anger. "You will also have a pay cut, and your 90% salary will go to the welfare of all the kids and people who are quirkless and suffer because of the likes of you guys," said Detective Naomesa. "One thing is sure, All Might, after this, I don't think I can trust you anymore as I used to do before. If the symbol of peace, All Might, the #1 hero of Japan, can indulge in this kind of discrimination between his own child, then Japan isn't safe, at least when I can't see a shred of remorse within your eyes, and the indifference in your behavior in context to your son's possible suicide. I cannot trust you with this country's safety and well-being. You have disappointed me, All Might," said Detective Naomesa. All Might didn't say anything as he just had his head down all the time. "Care to explain why you two bullied Izuku?" asked Aizawa, as he had many missing dots to connect to understand the situation completely, as he was just told asked by Nizu to accompany him without much context. "Answer, you ungrateful son," said Masaru as he kicked Bakugo's face with his legs. "It applies to you as well," said Detective Naomesa as he was giving Kazuki death glares. "Because he was quirkless and yet he wanted to become a hero," said both Kazuki and Katsuki at the same time. "And what's the problem with that? Can a quirkless person not be a hero?" asked Aizawa with cold eyes. "How will he survive and fight villains who have strong quirks?" The one to answer was All Might. "Oh, so he can't fight villains without a quirk, and because of that he can't achieve anything in life? Is that what you are implying, All Might?" asked Aizawa as he faced All Might. All Might nodded. "Then All Might care to explain how I have survived against mutant-type villains whose quirk I cannot erase? Or when I am surrounded by many villains, as far as I remember, I am very much alive. Nizu here was successful in opening a school that became Japan's #1 school, and as far as I remember I don't think he has any fighting-type quirk, yet all the young aspiring heroes want to get into UA," said Aizawa with a dead voice. "And as far as I remember, Sir Night-Eye, your sidekick for the longest time, all he can do is look into one person's future and can be used only once every 24 hours. As far as I remember, he doesn't have a combat-related quirk, and once he uses his quirk he is as good as a quirkless man, yet he was able to be your sidekick for the longest time, and even after that he was able to open his own agency, which has become a leading agency in Japan. I don't think Sir Night-Eye has died, let alone he has achieved everything you thought a quirkless person couldn't achieve. He became successful, well-known, feared, as well as was able to be your sidekicks, so don't utter bullshit like a quirkless person cannot be a hero," said Gran Torino as he was having the urge to hit All Might on his head. "He didn't need to have a quirk to be a hero. He has a gift no one else has, which could have been proved to be very helpful to the heroes," said Fuyumi. "What do you mean? Could you please elaborate?" asked Nizu as he got curious. His mind, he was a quirk nerd and had made detailed reports of all heroes, their quirks, their weaknesses, areas to improve, synergies with other heroes where they could cancel out each other's weakness. Everything was writing, and that too in detail, along with their current ranking and how they can be in top-ranking heroes within no time, what are new possibilities with the quirk, and where there is room for development, and many creative ways in which a hero can use his quirk. In short, he knew everything about that hero, probably even more than those heroes knew about themselves and their quirks. And if that said hero got his hands on this information, he would be able to easily overcome his weaknesses and become a lot stronger than before. And he has made reports about all the pro heroes working in Japan, even the ones overlooked by media or not given much importance," said Fuyumi with a sense of pride in her voice which had a layer of sadness mixed in it. Hearing this, everyone including Endeavor was shocked to their core. No one could speak a single word, all of them were digesting the information just provided by Fuyumi. All of them had just one thought in their heads: what a waste. Nizu upon hearing this was pale as he said, "Do you guys have any idea how much of an asset Izuku could have been to pro-heroes, and the hero society in general? If what she said is true, then pro-heroes could have overcame their weaknesses, got even stronger, and the crime would have gone down to the point Japan would have become a crime-free country. Honestly, if I were asked, I would have Izuku in UA with my eyes closed, and all the pro-heroes would be dying to have him as an intern," said Nizu with a look that said a really good opportunity was lost from their hand over discrimination, and this said him a lot. Indeed, with someone that has this kind of mind and knowledge about the quirks, it could have been a hard kick on the guts of the villains. What a waste, to think we lost such a great mind that had one sole dream to be a hero, said Detective Naomasa. Indeed, I would have loved to have him tell me my weaknesses which I could improve on, said Aizawa as if someone killed his cat. How can you say it was detailed when we haven't even seen it, said Kazuki trying to refute it. Then how about you read this? And one bonus chapter for every 100 Power Stones. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give Power Stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 14 comment. Chapter 22, our holiday special. There was some issue with this chapter, so I am uploading it again. And happy holidays everyone, wishing you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. This is one holiday special chapter. This is the first time I have wrote a holiday special and I have no experience with it, so let me know how this chapter is. Hope you like the chapter. May the spirit of the holidays fill your home with peace, joy, and happiness. No. The air buzzed with excitement as Izuku Midoriya entered the local pharmacy, the crisp winter breeze nipping at his cheeks. The familiar jingle of the bell above the door welcomed him inside. His purpose, as always, was to stock up on essential supplies for his hero training. As he approached the counter, the store manager, a kind soul named Masato Uchiyama, greeted him with a warm smile. "Back again, Izuku?" Masato asked, his eyes twinkling behind his glasses. "Yes, I need to replenish my supplies. The training has been quite intense lately," Izuku replied, his voice laced with determination. While Masato busied himself gathering the necessary items, a familiar voice echoed through the store, drawing Izuku's attention. "Midoriya-kun, wait up." Turning around, Izuku's eyes widened in surprise. It was Mr. Miyamoto, the compassionate teacher from Aldra High School, weaving through the aisles toward him. He had always been a steadfast ally, fiercely protective whenever he sensed injustice, especially when it came to Izuku. "Mr. Miyamoto!" Izuku exclaimed, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "What brings you here?" "Just picking up a few things," Mr. Miyamoto replied with a grin. "But more importantly, I wanted to commend your hard work. Keep it up, young hero." Izuku's cheeks flushed with gratitude. "Thank you, sir. I'll do my best." As they exchanged warm holiday wishes, another figure approached, a serene presence amidst the bustling store. It was Fuyumi Todoroki, her gentle smile lighting up the space. "Hello, everyone." Fuyumi greeted, holding a basket filled with seasonal treats. "I thought I'd bring some holiday goodies for all of you." The warmth of her gesture enveloped them, prompting Masato to invite them to a cozy corner of the store. They gathered around, savoring the festive delights and sharing stories. Izuku recounted tales from his recent hero internship, Mr. Miyamoto shared amusing anecdotes from his teaching experiences, and Fuyumi talked about her plans for the holiday season with her family. Masato, meanwhile, regaled them with nostalgic stories from past holiday seasons at the pharmacy. As the conversation flowed, a tiny figure in pigtails and a bright red coat darted into the store, eyes wide with wonder. It was Emi Yamamoto, a precocious 5-year-old with an insatiable curiosity and an endearing innocence. "Emi-chan," Fuyumi called out, her face lighting up with joy as she rushed to the little girl's side. Emi's eyes sparkled as she glanced around the store, taking in the festive decorations. Her parents followed behind her as they nodded happily as they started roaming around the store stockpiling things they would need. Soon Emmy reached within the circle of the four as she started talking like a chattering box, how she talked endlessly about things like her school, her days, how Izuku saved her when she was lost, and all the things she had planned for her holidays. Izuku stood back, a soft smile gracing his features as he observed the heartwarming reunion. Masato patted Izuku's shoulder, silently acknowledging his kindness. With Emmy in the group returned to their corner, laughter and warmth filling the air once more. Emmy, now comfortably seated on Fuyumi's lap, eagerly shared her adventures with everyone. The moment stretched into a cozy afternoon as they continued to exchange stories and laughter, cherishing the camaraderie that blossomed among them during this special time of the year. Soon all of them started telling their plans as to what they were planning to do in this holiday season. Izuku was the first one to start as he said, "I plan on spending my holidays with the kids in the orphanage near my house. I have been visiting there lately and the kids seem quite lonely there, where most of them are going to have their first Christmas, and I wish to make it special for them," said Izuku with a smile. Mr. Miyamoto shared his plan of volunteering at a local shelter, emphasizing the importance of giving back during the festive season, and a day out with his family. Fuyumi then continued mentioning her preparations for a Christmas party at the preschool where she taught, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "The kids are so excited for Santa's visit," she shared, a hint of joy in her voice. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, they bid farewell, exchanging heartfelt wishes for the holiday season. Izuku, in the midst of the departing group, turned to Fuyumi with a soft smile. "I'll see you on Christmas Eve, Fuyumi-san. I'm looking forward to it." Fuyumi returned his smile. "Me too, Izuku-kun. We'll have a wonderful time." "Aren't you two in a full-blown couple holiday mode?" said Mr. Miyamoto in a teasing tone. Izuku just smiled while Fuyumi had a deep blush on her face. "Sensei, why is your face red?" asked Emmy innocently. It deepened her blush as she just went in Izuku's embrace as she hid her face in Izuku's chest. Izuku just smiled, caressing her back, which didn't help Fuyumi's blush at all. "Emmy-chan, I'll tell you later about it, okay? Now your parents are waiting for you," said Izuku as he pointed his finger towards Emmy's parents who were waiting for her. Emmy just nodded as she just caressed her sensei and said, "Bye-bye sensei, Izuku-ne, and everyone," said Emmy as she left towards her parents as they went home. Seeing Fuyumi getting caressed by Emmy, she tightened her grip on Izuku, while Izuku smiled helplessly, while Mr. Miyamoto and Masato had a smug look on their face as they teased her a bit more. Izuku left the pharmacy with Fuyumi along with him, his heart brimming with contentment and a renewed sense of warmth, knowing that sometimes, the most heroic moments were found in the simplest acts of kindness and connection. "Nay Fuyumi-san, where's my Christmas present?" asked Izuku with a smile. Fuyumi, who had calmed down and come back to normal, said with a shy look, "I have prepared something and it's a secret you'll find out only on Christmas Eve," said Fuyumi looking up in Izuku's eyes, soon retracting the vision to her fiddling hands. "Then I shall wait for that day," said Izuku with a smile as he dropped Fuyumi to her home and went back to his. With a smile on his face and the echoes of laughter in his heart, Izuku ventured back into the festive streets, ready to embrace both the challenges and joys that the season and his heroic journey would bring. On Christmas Eve, seeing Fuyumi in Santa outfit, Izuku fell in a trance where he couldn't shift his gaze from her, which caused a nosebleed followed by a short PRD of him losing consciousness out of mere cuteness she exuded. Comment. 6 comment. Chapter 23. Chapter 22 Possession of Books. The dead cannot speak, but their things can. Unknown. Then how about you read this? This is the latest book, and luckily it has one of his analyses, said Fuyumi as she handed Aizawa a book. It read Quirk Analysis Book 20. It says Book 20, does he have 19 more books regarding quirk analysis? Asked Aizawa with a cold sweat, with all the build-up and all, and seeing how things had turned out he asked Fuyumi, to which she nodded. He trusted Fuyumi more than these kids. Seeing her nod, Aizawa gulped hard. When he read it, his dead eyes were filled with horror, and his expression changed visibly. After reading it, he looked towards Fuyumi as he asked, "Are you saying there are 19 more books just like this with this level of detail?" His voice was filled with horror. "More or less, the more famous a hero, the more detailed it gets," said Fuyumi nodding. It's far more dangerous than I thought about. If this kind of information fell into the hands of a villain, they could not only defeat the heroes but even kill them, Aizawa said with horror in his words. Nizu, who was curious, leaped into Aizawa's hands as he went through the pages. We can't let this type of information out. If this gets in the hands of villains, then it's game over for heroes. We need to retrieve the rest of 19 books as well, said Nizu as he was also having a horrid face. Nope, not gonna happen. I won't let anything related to Izuku stay with anyone. Everything related to him along with all those 19 books are going to be with me. No one will be allowed access to those books or the contents of it, said Fuyumi in a no-bullshit tone, as if she is giving a statement not asking for permission. Endeavor-san, Nizu looked at Endeavor with an expectant gaze. You aren't any better, so you better stay out of this, Dad, if you know what's best for you, said Fuyumi as she shut Endeavor even before he got to say anything. I give up, said Endeavor as he had his hands up in the air. Nizu and Aizawa were silent. Was this the same Endeavor who has anger issues and gets what he wants? No matter what you say or do, you won't be allowed to have possession of any of those books, especially when he has entrusted me with the safekeeping of his books in the suicide note, and if anyone tries to force me to hand over the books, then I'll go to the media and reveal everything about Izuku to the whole world. One of my students' dad is head of the leading media company, and I would do it without a single shred of hesitation. Everyone present there went silent. They could see a mad glint in Fuyumi's eyes, as if saying if they tried taking Izuku's books, she would actually go to the media, not caring about the chaos it would cause. It caused everyone to gulp. After all, if the world found out that the symbol of peace, the #1 hero All Might, did this kind of thing, then the hero society would fall and people would start distrusting the heroes, causing more and more people to take up vigilantism, creating chaos and ultimately Japan's downfall. And they couldn't let that happen, no matter what. That was one of the reasons why All Might wasn't arrested for what he did to Izuku. So they had no choice but to sigh as Nizu said, okay, you can keep the books, but make sure it doesn't fall into the hands of the wrong people. Endeavor-san, please make sure of it, said Nizu as the last sentence was said while looking at Endeavor. Endeavor nodded. Fuyumi then stood up and asked the Yagis, where is Izuku's room? In a really cold tone. They could feel her quirk activating subconsciously as the room went relatively cold. First floor right side, answered Kazuki in a meek tone. Fuyumi went straight to the first floor. However, she wasn't alone. Endeavor and Detective Naomesa also followed her, as they wanted to see the room he was in. Upon entering his room, they were welcomed with a really pungent smell. As they looked around, they saw many used bandages and other used medical supplies, all which caused everyone who entered the room to have a grim expression on their face. Fuyumi was a bit better than others as she had seen Izuku covered in bandages, but Endeavor and Detective Naomesa had just heard it, and seeing the amount of bandages and medicines, they could get an idea of his condition. However, that wasn't enough, as the room was filled with dust and other things, as if no one bothered to clean the room. They looked at the room in horror as they understood the extent of neglect his family had done to Izuku. Unbelievable, he lived in these kinds of conditions. Detective Naomesa had a chill run down his spine. It's a surprise, he committed suicide rather than turning to villainy. It just shows how much he wanted to be a hero, Endeavor said as he looked around the room. Fuyumi was concerned about Izuku's condition of living, but even more so she wanted to get the books as soon as possible, as she didn't want anything related to Izuku to be in this house anymore. The suicide note contained the location of the other books, so she went straight towards the drawer mentioned in the note. When she opened the drawer, she saw that the drawer was empty. She looked around at every corner of the room, the drawer, closet, under the bed. She looked everywhere she could think could be a possible location for the books, but couldn't find the books anywhere. She rushed down, followed by Endeavor and Detective Naomesa, as Fuyumi asked the Yagis in a cold tone, where are his books? Who went into his room? We don't know. We never went into his room, and we found out about Izuku when you guys told us, said All Might as Inko and Kazuki nodded. That's visible from the state of the room, said Endeavor. You really are unfit to become parents, said Detective Naomesa. Listening to this, Nizu, Aizawa, and Gran Torino had a cold sweat run down their spine as they had an idea of how dangerous the books were. The prospect of the books missing was a really concerning matter to them. as they had already given up on expecting anything from All Might in regards to the family. Was there a sign of anyone entering the room? Asked Nizu. No, there is no sign of entry in the room, said Detective Naomasa. I looked everywhere in the room to see where the books are, but I couldn't find them, said Fuyumi as she glared at the Yagis. This is really concerning. We need to find the books as soon as possible before they get in the hands of any villains, said Gran Torino. We must find the books, Detective Naomasa, alert the police and put them on high alert, and make finding the books a top priority, said Endeavor. Don't forget to return the books to me, or else I still have the suicide note with me, said Fuyumi as if she had become the head of all of the people present in the room. Saying this, all of them went out of the residency as Gran Torino spoke up. What are you looking at like a dumb person? You will also be helping us in searching for the books, if you have any sort of sense of well-being for the people of Japan left in you. Understood? All Might couldn't say anything but nod. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. Chapter 24. Chapter 23, Power of Knowledge. Since 100 Power Stones goal is achieved, here is a bonus chapter as promised. If you wish to read more advanced chapters, here is the link to my Patreon. https patreon.com Emperor Numix. The world henceforth will be run by synthesizers, people able to put together the right information at the right time, think critically about it, and make important choices wisely. Edward O. Wilson. While this was happening in Yagi residency, Izuku Yagi, who had stayed at Jiren's place last night, was now walking along with Jiren to meet one of the big shots of the underworld. So how far is this place that we are going? Asked Izuku. We have arrived, just 5 more minutes, said Jiren. After 5 minutes they arrived in front of a shabby-looking bar. Do all evil organizations need to have their headquarters in shabby, worn-out places? Asked Izuku. It's very cliché, you know, Izuku continued. Do you have any better ideas? Asked Jiren. Yes, why not have a base in some sophisticated area like in the middle of the city, in one of the skyscrapers? Said Izuku. Why, so that we get caught from the get-go? Asked Jiren as he thought how absurd Izuku's idea was. TSK, you don't understand, in this day and age, everything depends on how well you can use deception to your advantage, said Izuku. What do you mean? Asked Jiren. Use deception to your advantage. How well can you fool the heroes? Have you heard the saying, no one finds the lost thing at their home? Asked Izuku. Jiren shook his head in denial. According to it, if there is something lost, they will search for it everywhere but not at their home, and that's where the lost thing is found generally. So if you are going to have a front for your evil organizations, then why not have it in the middle of the city? Make your brand value such that if ever doubt falls on you, the police station is swarmed by people saying that the police is wrong. And if it's in the middle of the city, even the pro-heroes won't doubt you guys that easily, as they would think who would be stupid enough to have a base of operations for their villain organization in the middle of the city. Yet you pull it off, you have a base of operations in the middle of the city, that way even if you get caught, the media will blame the heroes who couldn't track down the villains who were working right under their noses. And as far as I am concerned, if I were in your place, I would make my front business so genuine and real that if the pros want to have a look inside, they would need to get a warrant from the police commissioner. And if they try to misuse their powers, I tarnish their names using my power and influence in such a way that the heroes who were cocky enough to enter my estate would have to publicly apologize to me and promise not to repeat this kinds of things again. And obviously use the money to buy the top officials. And if they are too righteous, who am I? A villain? I will just kidnap their loved ones and tell him to obey like an obedient dog if he wants his family alive. And if he is alone, then I'll make sure to use the people and officials ready to get corrupted to frame the honest official in such a case that he is fired from it. And by doing all this, I will create a show of power as well as show the world I'm not someone to mess with, and after that, even if they have some evidence against me, they wouldn't dare to enter my estate, let alone question me. That way I will have my office in the middle of the city, yet no one will question me, and the opposite is what you guys do. You guys keep your base in such a place where it gets obvious even for common people to tell that here's some illegal or bad thing is going on. Just by the atmosphere around the building, finished Izuku. Hearn was silent. He was thinking, have I gone senile or what? Why didn't I think of this? I have been in the underworld for more than the age this kid has been alive for, yet I received such an amazing idea from him, the way he explained of saving himself in all the possibilities. He made me look like I was someone who was living under the rock all this time. What? Thinking why didn't you think of this? Asked Izuku with a smirk. How do you know? Asked Jiren, thinking he had some mind-related quirk as he had never shown what quirk he had. No need to get surprised. Isn't it obvious that with the amount of money and influence you have along with your network in the underworld, if you had thought of this then you would have already applied it, and I wouldn't have to look for you in the outskirts of the town in a rundown building. Said Izuku as he shrugged his shoulders. Heroes aren't the only ones who have quirks, you know, villains do too, and I have researched villains as well, so did I do for Underworld LT as well, and you know what? All you people of the underworld have bases in rundown areas and outskirts of the town where heroes rarely come, but that's where you are wrong. Agreed, heroes might not come there frequently, but when they do, the first places they target are these rundown places, and what happens after that? Villains need to relocate in hurry. And in that hurry, they leave behind clues which help the heroes to find out about the villains even sooner. That's not all. If you have a base in the middle of a densely populated city where heroes frequently patrol, then you can easily keep an eye out for the heroes and even track down their routine and daily activities and can easily conduct tasks of the underworld within the blind spots left by the heroes. Finished Izuku. Jiren was silent again, but he remembered something as he asked, how do you know the bases of villains and members of the underworld? As far as I remember, no one would be dumb enough to put the location of their base on the dark web, let alone anywhere else as well. It's simple, I just looked at the villains and the areas where they attack. If he is a serial offender who has been causing crimes every now and then he is mostly affiliated with some organization, and would cause chaos within the 30-minute radius of the base of operations, as he would have idea of all the ways to reach his base without getting caught if things go south. And it's a pattern followed by almost all small-times villains unless they have some kind of teleportation quirk with which they can cause trouble in Mustafa while having base in Tokyo or Kyushu. Once I know the area of offense, then I looked at the past records to see if there has been similar acts caused by him in nearby areas and how fast did he escape, after which, as I said, I'll look at all the rundown areas within the 30-minute radius and see if I can find any kinds of footages of a villain sitting near these rundown areas, and boom, I'll have the location of base of operations of that said villains with the accuracy of it being correct being almost 80 to 90%. Explained Izuku. Jiren was pale. It was as if the years he spent running away and surviving in the underworld were for nothing. Izuku here, who just decided to join the underworld, taught him things that even the veterans wouldn't think of. You sure you are a kid and aren't a member of any organization in the underworld? Asked Jiren. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 13 comment. Chapter 25. Chapter 24 Power of Knowledge 2. Information is the oil of the 21st century, and analytics is the combustion engine. Peter Drucker. You sure you are a kid and aren't a member of any organization in the underworld? Asked Jiren. Yup, I'm going to turn 15 this year, and this is my first time interacting with someone from the underworld. Why do you ask? Asked Izuku. It's just that the amount of information and ins and outs you gave to save yourself from the police and heroes looked like something even a veteran would rarely have, plus all the information you gave is completely usable with its chances of working being close to 90%, so I want to ask, how do you know all this? Asked Jiren. Well, the answer is simple, stagnation. Said Izuku. Stagnation? Asked Jiren in confusion. Yes, stagnation. Ever since people got quirks, they became completely dependent on their quirks for everything, not using their brains at all, and before deciding to join Underworld I was planning on becoming the hero, and I thought about every possibilities that I could think of to catch the villains, every possibilities of where the villains could be, where they could hide, what all tricks they could use to escape from punishments, Everything a villain would do to save himself. I even thought about things that could go against me, disadvantages I'll be put in, along with various ways I can catch them. I thought about everything, and as I prepared countermeasures I realized that since the advent of quirks people stopped using their head, they started getting dumber and dumber, their minds getting stagnant, and thus the ideas they get are generally very simple-minded and easy to crack. That's how I bested all you guys in Underworld and have location of almost all major gangs of the Underworld in this city, explained Izuku. If you were planning to be a hero, then why to turn to the Underworld? You would have made a successful career in hero society. In fact, you would have been the worst nightmares for all the villains? Asked Jiren. Stuff happened and I lost interest in being a hero and thought villainy is better, said Izuku as he had a forced smile on his face. I'm sure with your intelligence no one will be able to catch you, said Jiren, trying to smile but can't help but put on a nervous smile. Don't worry, I know enough about the heroes that they would never be able to catch me, and even if they are able to, the damage I'll do will be far more than the heroes can digest, let alone hide it from the public. I will bring the downfall of this so-called hero society, said Izuku as he had a murderous glint in his face. Nay kid, would you mind taking me in as your assistant? I'll do everything you say, and I will never betray you, I promise on my life, said Jiren, trying to be as genuine as possible. Oh, what's with the sudden change in tone, trying to butter me up or what? Asked Izuku, amused. No, it's nothing like that. Somehow I feel my chances of surviving in the Underworld are better if I stay with you, plus I want to learn so much from you, now that I know my mind is getting stagnant, said Jiren, being truthful from the get-go. Well, I don't mind, as long as you don't betray me, 'cause you just know I have information. You have no idea the things I would do to torture you before I kill you. That's all present here, said Izuku, pointing towards his mind as he continued, and I am one hell of ST, so make sure to think it through, as you still don't know what my quirk is and what it is capable of, said Izuku as he had a murderous glint in his eyes as a sadistic smile formed on his face. Jiren had a cold sweat running down his spine as he could feel that this wasn't an empty threat but a deadly warning, and as things had been till now, Jiren knew nothing about Izuku, his quirk, his circumstance, or his reasons, while Izuku knows everything about him, and given how easily he decoded the Underworld as if it was a child's play, he wanted to make sure not to be on Izuku's bad books. Well, if you say so, but don't forget, I'll be watching you, and the second you betray me you will, said Izuku as he pointed his thumb and made a slashing action across his neck, showing he will have his neck cut. Jiren just nodded as he couldn't actually believe what was happening. Within 15 hours he went from being the most influential freelancer power broker in the Underworld to a soon-to-be 15-year-old kid's secretary. But was he forced into it? Of course not, he did it all willingly. As a man who is known to be calculative and cunning, he knew Izuku was more dangerous than anyone on this planet. As a wise man once said, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. And Izuku here was a person who knew both himself and his enemies, while Jiren was someone who knew himself but not to the extent that Izuku knew, and he also didn't know the enemy, while all those heroes and villains that think of themselves as the superior come in the last category, as they neither know themselves nor know the monster of an enemy known as Izuku, and their defeat was inevitable. No matter how strong their quirk is, for Izuku, who not only knows himself well but his enemies or quirk holders in general, he is a very formidable foe, someone who would win every battle he went into, and no matter what the outcome came, Izuku's victory was assured. That's the power of knowledge, something neglected by the majority of the people in this day and age. If someone had used information wisely, they wouldn't need a quirk to bring society down to its knees. Sadly, stagnation got to them and they couldn't think how valuable information could be. However, they were soon going to realize the importance of information, although it will be the hard way, as at this time there was only one person who knew the true importance of information, and he is going to use this to his full advantage. As by the time they realize their faults it will already be too late, and they wouldn't even be able to compete against someone who has been doing this with the highest level of proficiency for all of his life. And I'll release a bonus chapter for every 100 power stones you give me, so make sure to shower my work with power stones. If you wish to read more advanced chapters, here is the link to my Patreon. https patreon.com Emperor Numix. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones, as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 21 comment. Chapter 26. Chapter 25 Deal with the Devil. There is no such thing as a free lunch. If the devil offers you something, there will always be a price to pay. Anonymous. Well then, congratulations Jiren on becoming my first employee secretary, looking forward to working with you, said Izuku as he brought forth his hand to seal the deal. Pleasure is all mine, kid. Sorry, boss, said Jiren with a really bright smile, as if he won the world or got a treasure no one could find, as he brought forth his hand as well, and they shook their hands, sealing the deal, already assuming the role of Izuku's secretary. Oh, aren't you quick on the uptake? Asked Izuku with an amused smile. Of course, as you know me very well, why waste time over meaningless things? After all, life is too short to waste time, and I couldn't have asked for a boss better than you, said Jiren, still having the same bright smile on his face. So, my secretary, shall we meet this big shot of the underworld that we have come to meet? Said Izuku as he took the role of the boss immediately. Yes, said Jiren as he led the way into Izuku. The door to the shabby-looking bar they were standing in front of was opened by Jiren, and Izuku followed behind. The interior was similar to the exterior of the bar. It was very shabby, however. The interior was cleaner than the exterior, but it was all shut, with no ventilation, no sunlight, all windows were shut, and no one else could be seen in the bar except for a kid with blue hair and a purple fog like a man wearing a bartender uniform, and the silence just added to it as it gave off a really gloomy vibe to the bar. Like I said, it's all written over this place, that here illegal activities are conducted, said Izuku looking at Jiren. Jiren couldn't help but let out a helpless laugh. This dialogue caught the attention of the only two souls in the bar, other than Jiren and Izuku. However, they weren't the ones to say anything, or rather they were beaten by someone. And why is that? Asked a voice from the monitor of a screen. And who might you be? Asked Izuku, not answering the question asked by the person on the monitor, or rather ignoring his question. Boss, this is the big shot that fulfilled the requirements you laid out. His name is All for One, said Jiren, explaining AFO's identity to Izuku. Boss? I thought you were a freelancer, Jiren, asked Kurojiiri. You can say, I just got employed by him, said Jiren. Interesting, and who might this kid be to be able to hire you, Jiren? Asked AFO in a really amused tone. Before Jiren could reply, Izuku interrupted him. So you are AFO? The big shot of the underworld that has the power to manipulate Japan from the shadows, and All Might's arch nemesis? I thought you were dead when you had your final battle with All Might, said Izuku in an amused tone. Everyone was silent. Everyone had varied expressions on their face. Kurojiiri looked shocked. Blue-haired kid looked irritated. FO had an amused look on his face as if curious about something, while Jiren had a satisfied look on his face, thinking he wasn't wrong in deciding to work under Izuku. At least that's what All Might and Hero Society and the public at large thinks. Now that I know you are alive, well, that explains your disfigured look and condition. Well, things get pretty interesting from here on, said Izuku with an amused smile. Interesting, you know quite a bit, kid. May I know how you know about all this? As far as I remember, I haven't made an appearance in quite a while, at least after the final fight, asked AFO. I heard it from All Might. He thinks he killed you for good. Well, you look alive to me, although not in perfect condition, but alive, signifying the intensity of your battle with him, and you have managed to hide yourself quite nicely, if I have to say, said Izuku. Aren't you quite knowledgeable? Asked AFO. Oh, I know quite a bit about you. Symbol of evil, All for One, a being who has been alive for more than 2 centuries, who started stealing quirks and forming his army when the quirks were a new thing. I even know about the rivalry between All for One and One for All, your arch-nemesis, which started with your younger brother, who you thought was quirkless, and gave him a stockpiling quirk, which your brother passed on to someone else in hopes of defeating you, and it continued till now, with All Might being the 8th generation holder of OFA, and now One for All is the biggest thorn in your plans to conquer Japan. Isn't it right? Symbol of evil, said Izuku looking at the computer monitor. Everyone was silent, even AFO. After a few minutes of silence, as everyone looked at Izuku in shock, a burst of laughter was heard which filled the entire silent and empty bar. Ha! You are quite right about it, or rather you just summarized 2 centuries-old rivalry in just a few minutes, and that too quite accurately. Now the question arises, how do you know all this? As far as I'm concerned, there isn't much about me mentioned in Japan's history trying to save its face, so the question comes, how do you know about this? Asked AFO. Well, I have heard about it on the internet from a few people, although that was just considered rumors, but recently someone was gracious enough to confirm the rumors for me, and I just connected all the dots and got the full history of the greatest villain, the symbol of evil, also known as AFO, explained Izuku. Interesting, and who might be this someone who was gracious enough to confirm the rumors for you? Asked if. Isn't it obvious, All Might, your arch-nemesis who put you in that state, said Izuku nonchalantly. And why would he say all that to you? What might be your relationship, as you said, to my current arch-nemesis, current holder of OFA and the symbol of peace, All Might, who, as you rightly said, put me in this state? Asked David. Everyone listened to him intently, as this was a very dangerous piece of information and an even more dangerous exchange of information taking place between two people who looked at each other with interest. Do you take me for an informant of your? That's all the free information you will get. Your trial PRD is over, and from now on it will cost you something, for I am the new information broker of Japan, who has information on all heroes. I ain't your subordinate. If you want more information, then you will have to meet me in person. I am here for business, not to give away all the valuable information worth billions just for free, and I will do business when I meet you face to face, not through a TV screen. FO, I am here to have a deal with the devil, not to submit to the devil. Arrange a place of meeting and I'll tell you everything you wish to know, and after that, I'll tell you the cost of all the information I gave you. As you who has been alive for more than 2 centuries would know, there is no such thing as free lunch in this world. It always comes at a price, and I am a follower of law of equivalent exchange, said Izuku as he cleared where he stands in front of AFO. Unders? Everyone was silent once again, surprised by the guts of this kid and how he was talking to the symbol of evil AFO as if talking to someone of his age on an equal footing. And I'll release a bonus chapter for every 100 power stones you give me, so make sure to shower my work with power stones. If you wish to read more advanced chapters, here is the link to my Patreon. https patreon.com Emperor Numix. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter, and if you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones, as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 13 comment. Chapter 27. Chapter 26 of Oh, I Have Come to Bargain. Here's a bonus chapter for the 100 power stones you got. A bargain is a promise, and a promise is a debt. The Merchant of Venice. Unders? Everyone was silent once again, surprised by the guts of this kid and how he was talking to the symbol of evil AFO as if talking to someone of his age on an equal footing. Haha, you really are an interesting kid. I like your style, and how fearless you are even though you know my history, said AFO as he started laughing merrily. It doesn't matter, now that I have proved my worth with how valuable and on-point information I have given you in the trial PRD, you now know that I am far too valuable to let go, and a villain who is alive for more than 2 centuries that goes around with the moniker of symbol of evil. You are well aware how valuable and on point my information is now that I summarized your 2 centuries-old rivalry that isn't available on the internet, which you have confirmed to be on point and true. I have become an asset you can't afford to lose, and let me tell you one thing, I'll be monopolizing the information market, will wipe out everyone who doesn't agree to work for me, and it is the perfect time for me to establish what kind of relation we will be having, which is obviously a relationship of business, that two on an equal footing, where we both are businessmen, where I provide you with valuable information about the heroes, and in return for which, you will be paying me, whether in cash or kind, is something I'll let you know of according to my requirements at that time. And if you miss this once-in-a-lifetime chance now, I'll still be what I said, but the relationship won't be on equal footing, but I would be in the position of power, where you'll have to accept my demands no matter how absurd they are, so I'll give you this golden opportunity and say this once again. FO, I have come to bargain. Is the devil ready to do a deal with this monster, who is going to be the most dangerous information broker in the underworld, who will go around with the moniker symbol of fear? Said Izuku, establishing his authority, not caring about how outrageous he might sound. Boy, you talk too much, sensei. Should I silence him once and for all? Asked the blue-haired kid, who looked to be a few years older than Izuku, as he was scratching his hands, however with only 4 fingers. And how are you going to do that? With your hands where your quirk factor is? Asked Izuku, looking at the blue-haired kid who has stood up. How can you say this with surety that his quirk factor is in his hands? Asked AFO. Isn't it obvious? He is scratching his neck using 4 fingers instead of all 5 fingers, and since he is here, and taking into account your history, you would collect and gather people with destructive quirks which can be helpful to you to rule the world. And with how sure he is that he can silence me, it's obvious that if he touched me with all of his 5 fingers, something destructive would happen to me, or to himself as well for that matter, explaining why he hasn't been using all 5 fingers on his own neck. 'Cause if he did, then he might end up killing himself. Isn't that right, emo kid? Now that I have figured out your hands hold your quirk factor, do you think I would let you touch me? Said Izuku in a cold tone. Blue-haired kid, or Tamura Shigaraki, was silent, as without saying anything about his quirk, Izuku not only figured out what his quirk was but also prepared countermeasures against it. Everyone was the same. It was like today's day they were going to be left speechless again and again by this kid. Jiren, where did you find this kid? Asked AFO. He found me, not me, and now you might have understood why I decided to work under him and let him be my employer, said Jiren. Indeed, he's impressive, pretty impressive. To think you figured out what his quirk would do, just by a small observation. I must agree you are too valuable of an asset to let go of, said AFO, thinking something. Kid, I agree, you are far more valuable to let go, and I'm ready to do a deal with the monster. Kurogiri, open a portal for him and send him to me, said AFO. MSTR? Asked Kurogiri. Don't worry, send him to me, said AFO. Jiren will be joining me, as he is my employee secretary from now on, said Izuku. Okay, Kurogiri, said AFO as he signaled Kurogiri to do as he said. Kurogiri nodded and opened a portal as Izuku walked through the portal and Jiren followed him. Izuku then found himself in a closed-off room which was dark and cramped. The only light comes from a small window in the ceiling, which is barred and covered in cobwebs. The walls are made of stone, and the floor is covered in a thick layer of dust. In the center of the room is a large television set. AFO is sitting in a chair in front of the TV, his face hidden in shadow. Shigaraki appears on the screen, his face illuminated by the TV's light. His room is very cold. The air is stale and still, and there is a sense of foreboding in the room. It is clear that this is a place where dark and dangerous things happen. The room is approximately 10 feet by 10 feet in size. The walls are made of rough, unfinished stone. The floor is covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. There is a small, barred window in the ceiling which is the only source of light in the room comes. The overall impression of the room is one of darkness, dampness, and despair. It is a place where people are kept against their will, and where their suffering is ignored. Welcome to my humble Adobe, my new business partner. Make yourself comfortable and consider this as your home, said AFO. Well, this place needs a few improvements, but who cares, said Izuku as he sat across AFO, taking up an ample amount of space as his one leg was resting on top of the other, in an asymmetrical position, while Jiren sat beside him. Well, we can talk about that later. Let's finish important matters first. After all, this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. So tell me, what do you want to know? Continued Izuku. And I'll release a bonus chapter for every 100 power stones you give me, so make sure to shower my work with power stones. If you wish to read more advanced chapters, here is the link to my Patreon. https://patreon.com Emperor Numix. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Creation is hard. Cheer me up. Vote for me. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. Chapter 28, Chapter 27. Business Deal. It's not personal, it's just business. The Godfather. Well, we can talk about that later. Let's finish important matters first. After all, this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. So tell me, what do you want to know? Continued Izuku. But before we can begin, why don't you turn the TV off? I don't want anyone other than us to know about what I'm going to talk about from now on, said Izuku. You don't need to worry about them, they are trustworthy, said AFO. Well, to you yes, but to me, for them I might just be an annoyance they try to get rid of, and I won't take any chances, 'cause if they come in my way, they will die, and because of that, our business might get affected as well, and I don't want that, said Izuku. Okay, said AFO as he snapped his fingers and the TV turned off. It's the same, why would All Might say all that to you, when even history wants to hide it? What might be your relationship, as you said, to my current arch-nemesis, current holder of OFA and the symbol of peace, All Might, who, as you rightly said, put me in this state? Asked if It's simple, because I am his son, said Izuku normally. Jiren was shocked by this reveal, while AFO had an amused smile on his face which could hardly be called a face. And why would All Might's son want to join his arch-nemesis, when he has all this information and is likely the next OFA user and my possible future arch-nemesis? And most importantly, why would you want to become a villain? As far as I can think, your life would be like a dream come true life, being the son of All Might, so why join the villainy, when you could have a bright future in the hero society? Asked AFO. Because I am not the next OFA user or your future probable arch-nemesis. That privilege is given to someone else, and I have nothing to do with him. I didn't have a dream come true life. I would rather be an orphan than be his son. If anything, I want to kill that worthless piece of shit with my own hands and bring down the hero society to its knees and to my mercy, said Izuku with displeasure in his tone. And as I said, I am his son. I have information and details that could bring All Might down in just a minute, said Izuku, folding his hands. Of course, that's exclusive information I won't give to anyone, as he is going to be my prey, continued Izuku. Haha, I must say, this is a really interesting development, and you are an entertaining guy to talk with. In my 2 centuries-long life, you are the first person that has piqued my interest this much, and most importantly, you don't care what I am and what I can do to you, and have placed forth your demands as if we are on equal footing. You brought novelty to my boring life, and for that, I am really grateful, said AFO. Pleasure is all mine. Now let's get back to business. I have very lofty goals, and I don't want to waste a single second on any other meaningless thing, for I have wasted enough already, said Izuku as he put his leg down, his torso bent towards AFO, his hands clasped as Izuku looked directly at AFO's eyes, or at least where they were supposed to be. Sure, but I must admit, had you been born 2 centuries ago, then we would have probably been best friends for sure, said Shame I wasn't born during your time, so much valuable information lost in time with no way to retrieve it. I could have used so much valuable information about quirks to find out the origin of quirks, said Izuku. Coming to the main topic, here is the business deal I propose. I'll give you valuable information about pro-heroes, their quirks, their weaknesses, ways to counter them, everything, in return for which I want you to give me backing, whether it's through fulfilling the financial requirements, providing me with pieces of equipment I might need, as well as help me in setting up my business. Whatever I would require at that time, I'll let you know. And not only that, it seems you are forming a villain organization, and I can help you with that as well, said Izuku. How? Asked AFO. I'll give you targets I have a personal grudge with, which you can kill, and effectively as well, even if you are surrounded by pro-heroes. The tips I'll give will make sure that they can escape unscathed, but yes, they need to follow the line of plan. Only then will my statement stay true. This will help in building your organization's reputation, using which you can recruit many other wannabe villains. And I have heard from a certain someone that All Might is going to join UA High, the school I'm planning to join, so when I do that, I'll work as your spy. Of course, payment will be required, and if you stay patient, I'll give you heroes on a golden platter, said Izuku. You have an interesting prospect. Now the question arises, what about betrayal? What if you betrayed me? What if you are a spy working for the heroes or for All Might? Your prospects are a little bit too good that it seems fishy to me, asked AFO. Well, if there is one thing I can assure you of, then it's that I am not a spy. I would rather die than be a spy for that worthless piece of shit. As far as betrayal is concerned, it's going to be a two-way thing. I'll not do anything to betray you until it's you who initiates it. I won't make the first move, but I'll make sure after your first move you won't be able to make any more moves. The second you try to harm me or come in my way, I'll use all the information I have to make sure no amount of quirks that you have collected in the span of 2 centuries can help you out of it. Information is power, and currently I am the only one in this world who has that kind of information. With just the information alone I can bring chaos to this nation, turn the governments, make the government fall, and let me tell you I can do all this even without my quirk and just my mind. I am not going to be generous enough to give someone a second chance. The second you betray me you are a goner. Now the choice is yours. Are you willing to betray me just because you can and let all the time and efforts get wasted which you spent 2 centuries to build and bring you where you are? If your mind has not gotten stagnant as others think about it, who has a chance of betraying more, me, who is going to depend on you for all the things I want, or you who is 2 centuries old and might just see of me as some random kid that can be easily replaced, you'll get your answer. Finished Izuku. There was silence for a while, which was broken by, "Very well, then we have a deal here," said by AFO. "As a payment for the information I gave about my identity and my relation to All Might, there are certain things I need from you, and would appreciate it if I get it ready by tomorrow morning," said Izuku with a satisfied nod. "And what might that be?" asked AFO. "Just some basic things which for someone of your caliber can be considered a piece of cake," said Izuku. "They are and I'll release a bonus chapter for every 100 power stones you give me, so make sure to shower my work with power stones. If you wish to read more advanced chapters, here is the link to my Patreon. https://patreon.com Emperor Numix. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter. If you like the chapter, don't forget to give power stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 12 comment. Chapter 29. Chapter 28. Demands. The only way to get what you want is to demand it. Madonna. Just some basic things which for someone of your caliber can be considered a piece of cake, said Izuku. They are a nice apartment to live in the middle of Shizuoka Prefecture. It should be a nice place equipped with all the basic amenities, from where I can easily keep an eye out on all the pro heroes who are working diligently, patrolling the city and catching criminals, so that I can have a real nice look at them and can note down their work schedules, and blind spots where you guys can strike. A trainer who will stay with me and will train me in combat abilities and espionage tactics, who is well versed in mercenary and assassination types of missions, and who can also teach me how to use various weapons, and who can teach me how to effectively use my quirk in real-life combat. But the trainer should be the best in the field, and I would appreciate if that trainer stays with me rather than going here and there or being busy with other stuff, as I want my training to be completely uninterrupted so that I can smoothly train. Some equipments that I would require to set up my business in the underworld, and a backer and financier who would finance me, although that is already fulfilled since you have agreed to have business with me. So currently these are my demands. I hope you would be able to do it by tomorrow morning, said Izuku, as he laid out his demands and finished with a smile on his face. Okay, these are very easy things for me to do. You will receive your house in 30 minutes. As for the trainer, I have just the person who will fit into your requirements perfectly. She will meet you at your apartment by tomorrow morning and will stay with you in that house you'll get, and give me the list of equipments you would require, and I'll see to it that it's fulfilled soon, said AFO nonchalantly. Oh, and one more thing. Do you have any more teleportation types quirk users, like that purple fog guy? Asked Izuku. Not yet. Kurogyri is one of a kind, and other teleportation quirk users aren't that powerful or fit for human traveling. Why do you ask? Asked AFO. Nothing, he had piqued my interest. I would have loved to study how his quirk works and how can he go from one location to another, what are the requirements, and all that. I want to see the full extent of his quirk and how far can it go, and other possible combinations and all. Nothing much, said Izuku. Well, you can have him for some time till you are settled. You can research as much as you want, said AFO. That way I can keep an eye out on him, and if he can actually find the true extent of Kurogyri's quirk, it would just be a cherry on top and helpful to me and my successor to achieve our goal, thought AFO. I know exactly what you are thinking right now, Potato Head, but you should have found out by now. I'm not going to do charity, As far as I can think of, and if I take his word to be true, that purple mist guy, or what AFO called him, Kurogiri, he is the only one who can do human teleportations perfectly without anyone getting hurt, and he is likely their escape plan if things go south. I just need to find out the extent of his quirk, his weaknesses, and prepare contingency plans against it, so that if this potato head betrays me, I make sure he doesn't escape using Kurogiri, who is their transportation, and even if that's not the case, I know how valuable a teleportation quirk user can be in battle. I'll just try to turn him to be my puppet or render him useless so he doesn't come in my way, thought Izuku while his expressions didn't change a single bit. That would be appreciated. Now I'll leave, said Izuku as he stood up. Buffo did the same as he extended his hand for a handshake. Do you take me for a dumb or what? Asked Izuku with a blank face. And why would that be? Asked AFO confused. Do you really think I would shake hands with someone who has been stealing quirks for more than 2 centuries? Who knows, you might steal my quirk or try to find out what my quirk is and where my quirk factor lies, said Izuku blankly. You really are an interesting guy. I am glad to meet you, said AFO as he retracted his hand. Likewise, Jiren here will let you know later about all the equipments I would require, said Izuku. AFO snapped his fingers and once again the screen was lit and Kurogiri and Shigaraki were visible. Kurogiri, open a portal back to the bar, said AFO. Kurogiri nodded as a portal opened behind Izuku. As Izuku moved towards the portal, he turned back once again as he looked at AFO and said, Nice doing business with you. I hope to hear from you soon, said Izuku as he went through the portal. Jiren just stood up and looked towards AFO as he gave a 2-finger casual salute to AFO as he followed behind Izuku as the portal closed. To think Jiren would work under someone, and that to a kid, this is a really interesting development. The kid actually found the most reliable person in the whole underworld, although there are more influential people than Jiren, but they have a tendency of backstabbing, said AFO. But this is truly fascinating. The mere fact that the 7th and 8th users of One for All's family members have joined villainy is entertaining enough to be worth more than anything I could ask for. It shows how sad and helpless their lives must be, to be so neglectful of their families in their quest to defeat me that their sons are now walking the path of villainy. I can't wait to see the looks on their faces when they find out that their sons are now villains, trying to oppose and destroy the very world they're dedicating their lives to protect. Their defeat is inevitable, and seeing their ideologies crumble will be the cherry on top, said AFO as he started laughing maniacally. What's even more fun is that they don't even know it yet. They're still so blinded by their own righteousness that they can't see the truth. But when they finally realize what they've done to their sons, it will be too late. They will have lost everything. The best part is it was all so easy. For Nana's grandchild, I simply gave him a little push in the right direction. All Might's son, on the other hand, already had a grudge against him, though I don't know the reason and don't care. But his determination to destroy Hero Society led him to become an information broker with unparalleled knowledge, a golden goose that the Hero Society lost, all thanks to their father's neglect. I only needed to fan the flames and guide Shigaraki, while with Izuku, I didn't even need to do that. All I need is to provide him with equipment, and he'll do everything else himself. This is so much fun, don't you think, brother? Said AFO, laughing hard, thinking how his brother's successors, although being hindrances to him and his plans, they were gracious enough to neglect their sons and let their sons go down the path of villainy. And I'll release a bonus chapter for every 100 Power Stones you give me, so make sure to shower my work with Power Stones. If you wish to read more advanced chapters, here is the link to my Patreon. https://patreon.com Emperor Numix. Creator's thoughts. Numix. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about this chapter. And if you like the chapter, don't forget to give Power Stones as it motivates me to finish what I have started. Have some idea about my story? Comment it and let me know. Like it? Add to the library? Comment. 14 comment. Chapter 30. Chapter 29 Izuku's New Home. There is nothing more important than a good, safe, secure home. Jewel Kilcher. After 30 minutes Izuku was in the apartment he asked for, from AFO. The description of the apartment he received is as follows. Izuku's apartment is located on the top floor of the Hero Tower, a towering skyscraper in the heart of the Hero District of Shizuoka Prefecture. The Hero District is a prestigious area where many of the city's most elite heroes live and work. From his apartment, Izuku has stunning views of the city skyline, including the UA High School campus and the bustling streets below. The Hero Tower is a state-of-the-art building with top-notch security features, where only big businessmen and big shots can afford to live. The building has a sophisticated security system that includes cameras, motion detectors, and alarms. The building also has a team of security guards on duty 24. In addition to the building's security features, Izuku's apartment has its own set of security measures. The apartment has a hidden entrance that can only be accessed with a special key. Izuku also has a secret room in his apartment where he hides his most sensitive documents and equipment. The secret room is located behind a false wall in his bedroom closet. To access the secret room, Izuku has to push a hidden button on the back of the wall, after which it scans Izuku's eyes and heartbeats. Izuku's apartment is fully equipped with all the amenities he needs to live and work comfortably. The apartment has a large living room with a comfortable sofa, a coffee table, and a large TV with a built-in computer. The kitchen is fully equipped with all the latest appliances, and there is a dining table where Izuku can eat with guests. The bedroom has a king-size bed, a dresser, and a nightstand. The bathroom has a walk-in shower and a soaking tub. There are also specific features for Izuku's information broker career. Izuku's apartment has several specific features that are designed to meet his needs as an information broker. The apartment has a large bookshelf where he stores his collection of Quirk analysis books. Izuku also has a dedicated research area in his office, where he can work on his Quirk analysis research and map out his findings on the whiteboard. The Quirk board in his office is where he pins cutouts of news articles, sticky notes with ideas, and other important information related to his cases. Izuku also has a secret path that he can use to escape the building in case of an emergency. The secret path leads to a fire escape that is not accessible to the public. Izuku can access the secret path from his secret room. However, that isn't all. There is an additional security for his secret room as well. The secret button and door both are made up of a very durable metal, taking into account the possibility of a strength-based Quirk user trying to brute force his way in. And so after a certain threshold of damage is taken by the door, then an electrical discharge will be released from the secret button, which will directly attack the intruder's neural pathways like EMPs, shutting their nervous system down while alerting Izuku through alarms and giving the live feeds through the cameras located in the room. Along with that, there is a hidden camera inside the secret room along with motion sensors that track all the movements made by the intruder, and a shrilling alarm will be triggered which would disorient the intruder, attacking his motor functions until the intruder loses consciousness. In case of a breach, all the sensitive information will be locked in a fireproof safe which will be transferred to a hidden compartment, and along with that, everything that is in the room will also be hidden in the hidden compartment, which would make the room completely empty, so even if they breach, all they'll get to see is an empty room, and to get back whatever is hidden, Izuku will need to scan his biometrics, retinal scans, and his heartbeats. Once confirmed everything is alright, only then will the room be back to normal. However, if the intruder comes in a group like pro heroes along with the police, and they are able to not only break the security but are about to find out the sensitive documents, then the secret room will automatically activate barn door protocol, where the room will be in total lockdown, and the oxygen will start depleting from the room rapidly. In addition to these contingency measures, Izuku also has a contingency plan in case the secret room is compromised. If Izuku believes that the secret room has been discovered and the heroes found out all the sensitive information or are about to find out, he can remotely activate a self-destruct mechanism that will destroy the sensitive information, along with the room, as a very strong solution of sulfuric, hydrochloric, and nitric acid will be poured from the ceiling. Along with that, oxygen will instantly be cut and replaced with carbon monoxide, and to make sure the intruder isn't alive to see the day after. All this, the walls will release certain rays which can affect the Quirk factor, causing the Quirk to not activate or weaken it quite substantially, to ensure that no one that enters the room without Izuku's permission doesn't live another second. This self-destruct mechanism is a last resort, but it ensures that the sensitive information will not fall into the hands of anyone other than Izuku. Overall, His apartment is a well-equipped and secure space that is perfectly suited for his needs as an information broker. The apartment's location, security features, and amenities make it the ideal place for Izuku to gather and sell information to the underworld, while also keeping an eye on the heroes and their movements. This is an apartment that is from AFO's personal collection of safe houses he has all across Japan. However, he never used it, so he gave it to Izuku thinking it's a nice investment. Feeling satisfied with his home as he finished the tour, he unpacked all of his stuff, which was just his quirk analysis books which he had taken from his room as it was the only important thing he had. As for the clothes, he had decided he would go shopping later as it wasn't important right now and he wanted to work on his quirk more. So he kept his stuff and started fiddling with his quirk while also noting down things like future prospects of the quirk, limits of his quirk, how creative he could get with his quirk, and what kinds of things he could do with his quirk along with getting a better understanding of his quirk. Of course, he did all this after he reverse-engineered the cameras to make sure the feed wasn't going to his new business partner AFO.